Happy Monday, guys. Before we kick off, I'm going to preface the video with another video, and it'll be this one. So it's going to be the topic of the day. Happy Monday, like always, and it's going to be a good live, guys. Check this out. So I'm trying to do research to figure out the truth. And as we read this, we got him, boys. Ryan Garcia, R.I.P. And he leaves the mark of the beast, the number of the devil, 666. The video is exactly 666 in time. We told you we were coming. Haba haba baba, haba baji baji, whatever the word says. And then he says the name Anna, right, on Z Nana, which is backwards. Z as is sheer banana. Okay. So what I tried to use was a numerical sequence, right, kind of like a Fibonacci sequence, which was, nature's numerical code. And I came to the conclusion. So I tallied up all the numbers. H is the 8th letter of the alphabet plus 1, and I continued the sequence. And the first sentence is 42. I went on to the second sentence, which is and it added up to 133. I continued the sequence down the chain, and I ended up tallying up all the numbers, and I come down to 1,137. Roman numerals MCXXXB11. I thought I was getting some coordinates. I didn't know if this was a biblical passage. So at first it didn't really make sense. But I'm really concerned about this woman named Anna, right? So I either used the Da Vinci Code sequence or I tried to use the Fibonacci sequence. And I came down to a conclusion that either my math was wrong or none of this makes sense. But I was never raised a quitter, so I took out the Declaration of Independence, right, of the Constitution, and I tried to go to page 1137. And when it came down, right, because imagine what our founding fathers would think. So I just came down to page 37, right, and here's the name, Alexander Hamilton. Continue going down the steps, but none of this makes sense, right? So I threw that book out, and I came to Spawn, the Compendium, Volume 2. So I went to page 1137, okay? Now, for those that don't know, it's bookmarked. It's bookmarked already, and none of this makes sense. It really doesn't add up. Let me zoom in a little bit, as you can see, before it gets down on his cover arts. But as the pages continue, none of this is making sense. Look, I'm going to be sympathetic and very considerate in this video because there's a lot of people that in this world, they've lost their way. And I'm going to simply say that it's okay to lose your way, because when you're lost, eventually you'll just find yourself going someplace or somewhere, wherever the research, sometimes wherever your mind and your heart leads you. When you're lost, it's because you're in search of something. And I'm going to be sympathetic and show compassion towards Ryan Garcia, even though I'm not a really big fan of him. But nevertheless, as we know, it's possible that Ryan Garcia was hacked. It's possible, right? But if we're taking this thing on face value, you got to ask yourself, why are you being hacked? Who hacked your account? And when you ask these basic questions did you lose your services and your devices? Somebody obtained your financial score or whatever the case may be, your credit cards in every single situation. Or maybe it's the people around you that are plotting against you, right? Or maybe sometimes, Ryan, it's the decisions that you're making. And you try to absolve yourself and blame by blaming others. And the reality is, man, you got to look at the man in the mirror. Right? In fact, all of us do. You see, everybody knows the story of the wolf. Not the one that, he knocks at your door and he blows hard and the 3 little pigs. No, it's none of that. The wolf is, everybody has a good, loving, caring side, compassionate side. There's one wolf that's very loving. And then the other side, there's the wolf that's very greedy, mean, angry, all about destruction, committing sin. And the one wolf that wins is the one that we feed, right? Everybody has this wolf in them. You can be the good, caring one, the loving one. You can also be the one that's out there to seek and destroy oneself, destroy others. And again, it's the one that we feed that stands the test of time. And sometimes life guides us to one way or another. When it comes down to Ryan Garcia, I feel just like the rest of the world. Sometimes, and some people can't handle their alcohol. So the regulators and they prohibit it. Many years they did it with marijuana. And as we know, Ryan Garcia is under the influence. He's not a professional, right? And it's probably doing for quite some time, right? He can't handle his weed. And if you're already a paranoid person and you try to self-medicate with weed or any other type of hallucinogens or any other type of substance, whether it's legal or not, sometimes you don't know and you can't control yourself. Okay? Everything, they always tell us everything in moderation. Oh, well, if you eat too much salt, it's bad for you. Get high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and you can drink a little bit, but in moderation, because if you overdo it, it's gonna damage your liver, you're gonna get drunk, you're gonna pass out, whatever the case may be. Same thing applies with marijuana, right? And some people, many people, I will say, cannot handle their weed. That's just a fact. All right. Now, one of the things, I'm not here to cast aspersions on anybody, point the fingers, or signal virtue, or say that I'm holier than thou, because I'm not. Everyone commits sin. Everyone, has their idiosyncratic situations and moments and whatever the case may be, right? Look, we're all flawed. We're all human. I get it. But Ryan, if I had a daughter, stay away from her. And the way that I stated is this: Ryan has women problems. That's what I really think this is the situation, okay? I wouldn't trust Ryan around. Look, this guy I feel like he's juggling two acts, right? He's juggling two acts. In one way, he's this Christian guy and giving you sermons and preaching the good word of the good book. And the other one, he's committing he's a womanizer. He's perverting and corrupting all these women, all these young women, right? And it's almost like you're running a cult, you're running a game, right? And that's exactly what I think that's going on with Ryan, right? Because you got to think about every single pattern of behavior that this kid has been around with women. Looking no different in the press conference. He comes out in a white tuxedo, and these women are dressed in red. Very satanic, right? Colorism, right? I mean, why choose that color scheme? In every other press conference, I don't ever think I've seen him in a tuxedo, let alone coming out with women. But all of a sudden, he wants to do that. And then he raises his hand. Oh, I'm truthful. I'm speaking my truth and the truth. I do drugs and weed, and it's okay. Look, man, no one's saying you can't do anything on your own time and recreationally. But why is that the focus of this conversation? There's something wrong with Ryan, and maybe people just want to give him the pass and the leeway and absolve him for any blame because, oh, he's young. Imagine all this millions of dollars. What would you do? I wouldn't be doing what you're doing. In the past, I've never have, right? They say that once you get money or once you get the girl, it really starts to show or enhances who you really are, right? It's not that Ryan wasn't these things before when he was quote unquote poor. It's not that money has enhanced it tenfold, right? Again, I want to try to be compassionate because I would love to shit all over Ryan, but I want to show compassion and sympathize because there's a lot of real people going and dealing with real issues at hand. Real issues at hand. And I don't think Ryan is dealing with the real issues at hand. All right. Everything about this kid, the way he moves, he's very phony. You can't trust him. Right. One of the reasons how I know this is because he doesn't take responsibility for his own actions. Okay. This is another in terms of a microcosm. This is a small sample of what's been going on. It's deriving from something in a root, right? Going on. There are real people dealing with real issues at hand, right? And a lot of them come down to basically the same thing. You and me are more similar than we are different. In fact, we're more similar than on the rich people than we are different than them, other than they have a bigger bank account, right? But it's always the same thing. It's usually money problems, woman problems, or food and substance problems. It's really the three common things that come down to reality, right? But before I get to the another issue, I wanted to talk about a couple more mistakes of Ryan. And one of the reasons why we can't trust this young man is because he has horrible timing. Have you guys noticed that? In every single situation that's going on, even in the start of the year, he announces on an Instagram post, right, the birth of his child. And in that same caption, he says and announces that he's divorcing his wife. Very inappropriate. Very inappropriate. And then 3 months later, he proposes to an OnlyFans model. Now, I was told in the past that when somebody is coming off a rebound or whatever the case may be, or a long-term relationship, look at either the man or the woman and look at who moves on first. Look who moves on first. And in this case, Ryan moved on extremely fast and he proposed to another woman. So it lets me know that he didn't love the first one or the second one or this woman that he was previously married to, right? If I'm dating somebody and I break up with her after 2 or 3 years, and then in a week later you find me with another girl, and then 6 months later the girl that I was with is still single, right? She loved me more than I loved her. Again, Ryan is finding these young women, and eventually you're going to find him coming out in a sex scandal where he's running a cult-like operation using the good faith, the good Christian look as a juggling act to seduce and bring in these women. I kid you not. This is the truth of what's happening. I'm not trying to cast aspersions, but this is a pattern. Okay. Nevertheless, man, that's Ryan's biggest problem. And like social media, it could be a tool for good things to run a business. It can also be a tool to influence and persuade and to pervert and to corrupt. And as we know, in this westernized world, we're pretty much all corrupted, right? We're pretty much all corrupted. And yeah, man. Again, that's pretty much my opening. Don't really want to go too much into it more. Maybe Speed and Drew will discuss about it. But yeah, that's the way I look at Ryan, man. So hopefully he's doing okay. I know that he is. Hopefully somebody's not trolling on his account because, like I said, there are real people dealing with real issues at hand that believe in conspiracies or things of this nature that actually are true. And people have done heinous things and acts of similar situation and topics and gone to the extreme, right? We've had directors and documentaries, directors like David Lynch that kind of give us these insider looks in Mulholland Drive and Bohemian Drive and all of these things. We had The Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick, right? Then there's Twin Peaks by David Lynch as well. And you continue on this trend, and there's a lot of people that believe in devil worshiping and Satanism and whatever the case may be. You don't have to be religious, right? That understand that the devil is among us, man, right? And every single time. Again, I wouldn't trust Ryan, right? Look at the way he blamed Golden Boy. I'm not saying Oscar de la Hoya is this great man. I'm not. But he did have the best interest in Ryan. He had a vision. He had a game plan. And again, Ryan casted aspersions all over that company, right? and try to ruin that reputation rather than, look, bro, didn't we tell you don't take that rehydration clause? Don't meet them at a catch weight. You don't need them. We have a plan, and we're going to come from a position of power and leverage. Ryan was like, nah, man, you guys have been stealing money from me, and I want this 30, 50 million that I'm going to get with Tank without the need of your help. He's going to negotiate on his behalf. The minute he loses, there's spies on his camp. You know, he fires Joe Goosen since he's known him since a kid. He trashes the Golden Boy company, tries to buy himself out because supposedly they weren't at his presser. Like, bro, what about Eric Gomez? Is he not the VP of Golden Boy? Anyway, it's disgusting, man. And again, you guys want to, maybe he cops out and says, oh, man, I'm mentally ill. That's not what mentally ill people do. Right? Now, I've seen similar people do similar things and leave letters, you know, but Ryan, man, he's just not trustworthy enough. Okay? And I'm not going to give him that leeway to cop out because it's too easy. It's too easy for him, man. Right? We don't ever hold people accountable. And since the reason why is because he reaches out to thousands and millions of people in a split second, right? So he's very dangerous, right? Because of the messages and what he's trying to represent. And I have to question that. What are you trying to represent? Look at his father, man. In what world are you still on old terminology to really slander the Haney family, right? Like, bro, you can't be witty. You can't be like, bro, I've seen better hands. I've seen better hands on a snake. I'm going to ruin you. I'm bipolar. I got a nice jab, mean hook. You can't come up with good, witty comebacks. You have to talk about derogatory. Oh, man, look at your hair. What about my hair? Bro, this dude, corny, man. And then the mom, man. Oh, my goodness. The mom had to go out there and protect Ryan as Bill Haney and Devin are just destroying this dude on the mic and the podium without having to say racial shit. Like I'm telling you, man, I understand Ryan is the breadwinner. I understand they have financial freedom. But as he's continuing on this path, man, he's got to tread extremely lightly, man. He's got to tread lightly. El Pachuco, saludos, compas. I hope all is well for you guys. Yeah, man, everything is going relatively well. It's been a rocky year. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's been a challenge, but everything is coming out well. And honestly, it's been a blessing in disguise. Warp Speed goes, El Pachuco, good evening, amigo. Yes, I think we're all doing well compared to what many suspect of Ryan Garcia. Well, what do you suspect of him, Speed? You know, everyone is capable of falling into the deep end, right? We talked about the wolf, and the one that wins is the one that we feed, right? But again, many of us believe in conspiracies. In fact, a lot of the conspiracies have been true in the past, right? The Tuskegee syphilis experiment, the CIA mind control projects. There's been a lot of conspiracies that people believed in that they were like, oh, you're cuckoo. And they've come out to be true, right? The war on drugs, the prison industrial complex, you know, the CIA funding LA gangs and pumping cocaine. And then you poison the people, then you lock them up and incriminate them. All of these conspiracies have been true, right? And a lot of people think that if you're a conspiracy theorist, you know, you're simple-minded, that you're mentally unwell, and that there is a routine, you know, going on in popular culture, you know, that you might be stressed. But the reality is, just like how some people can't handle their alcohol, can't handle the company of a woman or their weed, they also can't handle an excess amount of information, especially an excess amount of women or people through the flick of your hand on your cell phone. And just because they have a profile and you can send them a message, in real life and in class and in school, you wouldn't approach these people. But somehow online, they're brave, man. Anyway, let me know if you're on, bro. So, you know, I'm trying to, you know, I've been cooking for a while, man. But, you know, I don't really have much to say. I think I pretty much said everything that I needed to state. But yeah, you know, I'm not going to downplay people that are conspiracy theories because a lot of time I believe in this stuff, to be honest with you. And we read on the APA and go on articles on Pew Researcher and The Guardian and The Nation and talk about all these things, The Atlantic. Yeah, man, people are prone to believe in conspiracy theories, not, through a combination of traits and motivations, right? And a lot of the times they rely on their intuition, right? They have this feeling of maybe being antagonistic, and sometimes, they feel like they have superior knowledge over others, right? Or they're perceiving certain threats in or around their environment. So again, some conspiracy theories, like again, I say, I believe a lot of these things, man. But I don't believe Ryan, man, because this dude it's a radical, but not in the good way. I know his game, and it's quite easy to pinpoint and narrate. But again, I'm gonna be as sympathetic as I can towards him because I know a lot of people in a similar situation. And then you might say, well, if you know a lot of people in a similar situation, why don't you want to shit on them and shit on Ryan? Nah, man, it's a little. I want to differentiate is these people actually try to seek help, and when Ryan has all the power to do so, he casts aspersions and blames everybody around him. It's not the first time. It's not the last time. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I miss that kid that was just showing us his fast hands in his garage. I miss that dude, that innocent kid. The one that didn't have tattoos. The one that was actually trying to do good in the world rather than whatever it is that he's embarking on now. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I truly believe this dude showed up to the press conference intoxicated. I mean, look at the face-off, man, with Devin Haney. He didn't even face off with Devin Haney. And I'm honestly very disappointed in Devin Haney, as I stated in the past, because a lot of it is his fault, right? And he's in, like, Ryan Garcia is the Kanye West of boxing, right? And Devin is the credible side of Kanye West, the one that makes amazing music. But then all of a sudden, he engages in the shenanigans of the world to push a product, right? Kanye marries Kim. Devin fights Ryan Garcia, or tries to, because he wants power. He wants money. He wants influence so he can make the bigger popular fights like Tank Davis. That's the only reason why Devin wants to fight Ryan Garcia. Not because there's anything to gain from a legacy standpoint, but from a fiscal standpoint, a financial standpoint, right? And I don't blame him, because I understand that this is the shenanigans that you have to play. You have to play the part. But I did like Devin Haney being a legacy fighter and chasing greatness, whether that takes a long, hard road against the toughest opposition like Subriel Matias. He showed us the willingness to fight all these dudes, to go to Mexico and get 16 professional fights, right? And and get it out the mud. He didn't circumvent and take shortcuts in life, and that's honorable and respectable. Ryan has shown a reluctancy to fight you in the past when you were at 135, when he was your mentor. He disrespected you. And then he did it again at 140 and walked away to try to fight Rolly Romero. He's on to bigger and better things. In what world is Rolly Romero bigger and better things? And then there's a cop-out, and people understand the game because Floyd Mayweather told Ryan this scheme, get this belt off Rolly, and then fight Devin Haney and go into negotiations with leverage. It's not a bad play, but if I'm Devin Haney, this is like 3 or 4 times he's walked away from me. Why would I try to open negotiations with a guy that I can't trust? Right? Was Ryan mentally ill in those moments? Absolutely not. Again, why do we give this guy so many excuses and so many passes in life? There's no upside. There's no gain. He's not a great fighter. He's not a true professional. And he's not dedicated to his craft. Okay? He's not dedicated to become a supreme boxer, not just a left-hand technician. He's essentially Deontay Wilder, right? Vince Vargas goes, good evening. Yeah, Ryan's social media post about girls is crazy. Absolutely. That's the root of his evil, right? He doesn't know how to handle the flower. He doesn't know how to control himself. Every girl that he sees, man, I gotta love, like, and impregnate. That's really what it comes down to. Yo, Speed, are you in the lobby, man? What's going on? Yes, he is, man. And speak up, man. Speak up. What's going on, man? Mic check real quick. You there?
Homie Ricky, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
And I'm not too sure if you already placed me on mute. I barely started ranting, man.
Nah, man. You're good, man.
Okay. Um, Good even fall to you, homie Ricky, and good even fall to one and all, homie Ricky El Pachuco, and of course, Mr. Vince Vargas. Thank you very much for joining us on this here live, which I do plan on making a very special live out of. Um, Homie Ricky, when I proposed that we go live today, I know you were having fun on trying to decipher this missive, this vexing message that you were trying to apply the principles of gematria on to try and figure out what it was that Ryan Vargas, Ryan Garcia was trying to express when he posted up these very cryptic messages on Instagram. And you were applying gematria, and then you started to apply, the old telephonic messages of 143 and all those things where people used to type messages on their pages and whatnot. This is probably even before you were no more than 10 years of age. And we would send messages to each other. 143 meant I love you because the one, and I can't remember what it was, right? But long story short, what is that?
It's a song by Ray J, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what it was, but I know that a long time ago, 143 meant I love you. And what it was is that you would spell out messages by the numbers associated to the letters on your telephonic keypad. And I saw that you made a video, very interesting. You tried to decipher the gibberish, the continuous letters AM, AM, AX, OX, whatever it was that Ryan Garcia was sending out there. I thought that was funny, and I find it also curious that a lot of people find Ryan Garcia and all the theatrics and antics that surround that young gentleman at the moment to be entertaining and mysterious, and it's actually quite concerning. There's a lot of people that are sending well wishes and asking others to pray for this young fella. Now, your introduction was a great cook, by the way. um I agree with you in the sense that I wouldn't find anything to trust Ryan Garcia about, because of everything that he's done and said. Basically proves to one of us that this is not a trustworthy individual. If you knew this person and had him in your personal life around you, you wouldn't want him around you, because he is a toxic individual. At least he has definitely become that most recently in the past few years, right? But because he can be a toxic individual, and because a lot of the time that you and I report on anything surrounding Ryan Garcia, it's always seemingly leading to something negative, I figured that we should focus on the good things that can come from this. And what is that, homie Ricky? Mental health concerns, depression, drug and substance abuse, the weakness of the mind, the problems that come with experimentation, the innocence of youth, and the way that corruption kicks in when you're unprepared mentally for the development of a proper mind of a man and of a proper mind of an educated and responsible individual. Because this is what we don't see in Ryan Garcia. In Ryan Garcia, we see a fighter that was given God given abilities, and he exploited them. and he developed an allure and intrigue about him because he was able to take those dons, those gifts that some of us are born with. All of us are born with something, but he maximized those incredible blessings and made something out of it. And now we feel betrayed. Us that just focus on this sport of boxing, we feel betrayed. We feel betrayed that somebody would provide us so much possible entertainment that we started to cheer on for this gentleman, and then that he takes that, exploits us for our money, and then he betrays us by forfeiting the next fights going forward. And that's really all that I can focus on as a fan of the sport. But outside of that, guess what, homie Ricky? I am quite tired of speaking about Ryan Garcia. So I propose that we talk more so about what it all means to suffer from mental health issues. And I asked you to please play a video that I'm
You
not too
said at
sure if you
the end.
guys have seen it. What is that?
You said at the end.
No, I said at the beginning of my introduction, because I want you to just focus on the following, because I do want to focus on mental health disease on this here life. And I'm going to speak about some personal things, mostly that have affected me, because why go far, right? Why go far and speculate and start cutting other people crazy and whatnot? But we don't know. We don't know what Ryan Garcia is going through. We can only speculate. But I'm gonna tell you from my personal experience, from my own episodes of mania and manic depression and drug consumption and all these other things that have happened to me personally because of my own uh, faculties and failures as an individual, as a man that has failures and weaknesses. I want to express those things so that somebody can take what I will say into tonight's life and learn from it. So you will never have that happen to you in your life. But homie Ricky, if you could just do me a favor, can you please play that video that I asked you, just that minute or so, because I think it's very powerful. I think we can learn something from it.
It's actually 2 minutes, man.
Yeah, just run it from the 1 minute mark and let it run until like, minute and a half, or maybe play it at 45 seconds.
Just give us the rundown. Well, what is
No, no,
it?
no, just go, just play it. Okay. Thank you very much, homie Ricky, for having played that snippet of a 2 minute video that addresses how mental health and its damning repercussions and consequences do not seem the same for everybody. What most people think craze and mania and depression look like on one individual does not necessarily apply for the other. Now, if you saw right there, homie Ricky, we had two friends, right? And there was one that obviously stood out because of his concern, his defeated nature. while all these goals were taking on, going around in this event that both of them would go and visit as fans, he would sit down and he would bite his nails, and he would just bite his lips, and he never seemed to be quite excited about the event. And the other one would get all joyous and start hopping around and celebrating and hugging the other guy, but the other guy just didn't smile. And as the video continued, you kept seeing these two gentlemen showing up to the same sporting team, supporting their team, and one guy just never looked content, never looked happy enough. And the other one was the complete opposite, completely invigorated of life, spirited. And then right at the end, we see one of them show up and the other one is missing. We can assume that the one that's missing is no longer here with us. One of the friends likely was suffering from depression and something happened to him. I only dare to imagine what that was. But it turns out that it was not the person that we thought was depressed. It was not the person that was biting his nails and biting his lip and just never seeming content or happy enough. It was the individual that was joyous and spirited, the person that would hop around from every goal, who is no longer with us. He was a depressed individual. The other one was concerned for his friend. Now, I wanted to show that video right there because depression is hard to discern, right? Some of the times you can see it in a person, but you have to be very intelligent and observant, right? If you know a person for a long time and they're very lively and conversational, and they always tend to wear these bright colors, and all of a sudden you start seeing them very demurred and silent, deflated, uh, wearing black, very stern, the whole 180 of who they were before is a telltale sign that that individual has changed, that that person that they used to be is no longer there. And a lot of the times, those are screams for help, right? I know this because I've worked with people that I've had to deal with. I remember I was dealing with this case, right? Because of HIPAA violations, I can't mention names. And this was just a random quip, what this person was saying. And it just stuck with me for the rest of my life because I found it to be poetic, but at the same time, it also told the tale of how depressed and how manic some people can become. This person said, as she was in a psych ward, she said that the nurse that was providing her pills was injecting HIV in her peanut butter sandwiches by the red-headed one-eyed Chicana. Now, the person who said this was not a Chicana. Let's just say that. And in fact, the word Chicana or Chicano is no longer parlance of modernity. It is almost, I've said it before, a word of a generation that soon enough will no longer exist, right? But when this person that does not know anything about this culture from another part of the world said that, and they wrote those words and expressed it, you knew that something was wrong in their mind. It was poetic, but their mind was unsettled. This person was going through a episode of manic depression. And when you pay attention to some of these things that people say or do, if you are what they call emotionally aware, then you can tell when a person is trying to seek out help. And it's not easy to affect them or to convince them that you're there to help them in the first place. They're very confrontational, or they dismiss it like, no, what are you talking about? And you have to continue continue to fight to help that person. You have to win him by the good gracious. I've done that before, right? But there's also times that you have to walk away, right? And Ryan Garcia is a person that we have to walk away from. This is not the type of person that will heed your advice, that will take your words, and will accept your offer for assistance and aid because he has a superiority complex, because he has an arrogance about him that has not just come from his wealth and the change in the personality that he has demonstrated most recently. It's something that if you've been paying attention, it's been following him as part of his telltale the personality traits that have always been in there as an individual. It's that money has now magnified that. Now, I'm not trying to come out as callous and offensive and say that we should not help out Ryan Garcia. If Ryan Garcia really is in dire need of help, those around him that know him better should help him. Those that care about him and have an opportunity to touch him, to help him, should try. But a lot of the times you also have to watch out for those individuals because they can be toxic, they can be violent, they can become demons. Now, I'm not trying to say that I know whether or not Ryan Garcia is actually becoming a satanic or whatever he's acting like right now. I'm not trying to say that this is all at the same time some kind of a ploy to sell pay-per-view for an event that he's likely going to get his behind beat up on. It could be all of that. But it also could be drug abuse that's changing him as an individual. It could also be that he's read some things that have flipped his mind, right? It could be that he's done drugs like ecstasy, mind altering concoctions of drugs like marijuana and LSD. Any of these things could change you as an individual. And this is where I would like to, with your permission, homie Ricky, start to talk about my own struggles with manic depression caused by my experimentation with drugs. Now, I call myself a failed man because I have had so many opportunities provided to me because of my God-given abilities that I was able to exploit, where I reached a point where people trusted me to achieve some of the greatest things that I could be in life. And I betrayed them. How did I do that? By not believing in myself and by doing drugs. Now, when I was much younger and I started to experiment with drugs, right? It's mostly weed, and I did do shrooms, and then I did do some snortables. But mostly what it was is that I was what they call a gifted individual. And there was these programs that isolate you from the general public of education because you are very intelligent, you are very artistic, you have a lot of different abilities in you that just stand out from the rest of the populace. I was that individual, right? And it all came toppling down once I decided to experiment with marijuana. I had a friend in high school that introduced me to marijuana, and then everything just changed for me. And the whole school district, the whole city, all these people got together to talk about what was going on with me. Why was I rebelling? Why was I doing drugs? Everybody was concerned. And they proposed that they send me to Chiapas, to the nation state of Mexico, when there was a revolution, an upheaval over there between a band of revolutionaries called the ZLN, which were, commanded by a sub-commander Marcos. They wanted me to go over there and embed myself with them to study them because they knew I was a Chicano. They knew I was a person that was of Mexican descent. They knew I had these interests to learn more about my roots. So they made this big commotion and they gave me an ultimatum and they said, we'll fly you over there. and we want you to live there with them. Just study them. This could have at any moment become a battle zone, by the way, and never did. And in fact, that whole movement ended up dissipating when it was discovered that the sub commander, this leader of this revolutionary movement that was trying to start up an upheaval in the nation state of Mexico because of the drug cartels and the corruption and politics, the PRI was dominating the nation and running it for over 30, 40 years by that moment. These people were trying to change Mexico. And these California representatives, these principals, superintendents, and whatnot, they wanted me to go over there in order that I could find something that I liked in life, that I found purposeful, so that I wouldn't exploit and lose my God-given abilities to process and analyze the information and do something interesting with myself. And I pondered it. And I'm sure that my parents had their reservations. I'm sure that they had their nervousness about not knowing where their son would go and when he would come back, if at that. And I pondered it. And I never gave a response. And I never became that guy that wrote the book that I had a dream about. I dreamed about a book that I had written. The cover had the Virgen de Guadalupe, and it was cut out so that when you open up the very first page, you saw in the beginning, it was just a cutout of La Virgen through the cutout. And then you opened it to the very first page, the frontispiece, and it was the Virgen de Guadalupe holding up an AK-47 with a rag over her face, her brow, like Subcomandante Marcos would wear, with the little red star right there, like Shay would wear, and all these soldiers in back of her. That was my dream. And I never realized that. And then 10, 20 years later, homie Ricky, I go into this bookstore. And I don't know if I dreamt this or not. I was doing drugs, smoking weed, eating brownies with, I don't know, 2 ounces for every 12 batch, right? And I'm with my wife and my little kids and walk into this bookstore. And I look at this book, and it's the book that I dreamt. And I'm screaming, babe, look. And she comes over there. And I tell her, I wrote that book. I dreamt that book. And if you talk to her right now, you tell her about that experience. I tell her, remember this store that we went to? Remember I putting out this book? You know what she'll say, homie Ricky? No, I don't remember that. I don't remember you pointing that out. I don't remember seeing that book. I don't remember you mentioning nothing like that. A lot of my life, homie Ricky, is forgettable. And it's been forgotten because of my drug abuse, right? I remember when I did ecstasy, and it blew my mind. I had never done nothing like that. The walls were caving around me. I thought everybody was my enemy. I had never partied before. I went to the very first, what you could call a get together, but in my case, I would have called it a party because there was more than 5 people that were strangers. And I became so violent, I was going to kill everybody. I became a different person. I couldn't function. I couldn't come out of my room. I had to take pills for it. A pill that ended up becoming a pill that was experimental in its phase. And then a lot of these people that were taking it in this experimental phase were going into their high schools and killing everybody. They were going into these mass shootings because that product for manic depression was not supposed to be taken because it wasn't regulated. And I experiment with that. My life was a dream. I was walking and floating with a smile on my face under this product, while everybody else was doing all these crazy things and blowing their heads off. I was the opposite. And I took it for 1 month, and it balanced again my neurons and the chemicals in my brain. And it fixed me, homie Ricky. It fixed me. Now I had thought I had overcome my fears of society, the fears that every time I looked at a person, their eyes became bigger. They were haunting me. All these demons. I was just locked in my room, couldn't come out. I was paralyzed with fear. I had this thing called agoraphobia. I was afraid of people and masses and places where people congregate. I couldn't go to church. I would think everybody was out to kill me, right? And then this experimental drug, where it failed on everybody else, it corrected me. And I was okay, homie Ricky. Continue to smoke my weed, stop my snortables, you know, all of those things until 2012 was approaching. Now, as a good Mexican American Chicano and this person that believes in the culture of Quetzalcoatl and the Aztecs and all of these great uh, cultures that I am proud of being blooded by, I had studied about the 13th, El Quinto Sol or whatever. Uh, I knew about the 13th planet, Nibiru, Planet X. I had read all kinds of things that gave me an indication that the end was nigh, that some of the Aztec wise men and shamans and those people that could interpret the stars, that they were right, that there was going to be a delineation of all the planets that were going to come together in a perfect vibrational tone that was going to send shockwaves through all of the universe, and that our planet was going to become topsy-turvy, that the North Pole would flip to the south, and it would create turmoil and tsunamis and all of these things. And I felt that I was the only one that knew what was going on. And with every day that ticked closer to it, from 2007 to 2012, December 21st, 2012, every day I kept getting more nervous, and every day I would spread the word that something big was coming, to repent, to change your mind, to love and embrace those around you, because the end was nigh. And I remember the day that I, quote unquote, saved the planet, saved humanity. I created a card game where I shuffled these cards. And if I shuffled these cards, and if the right card landed at the end, because the cards in the order were going to be sequential, almost like a tarot type of thing, that if the right combination landed, that I would be able to stave off the end of humanity. And that card game was played in the presence of others, and it played out exactly like I forecasted. And then on December the 21st, 2012, as I was throwing a party for the end of the world, I shuffled these cards, and they landed in the order they had to, and the world did not end. Now, homie Ricky, I want you to think about what I just told you.
Time out,
I
man.
ran I ran into my mother's home
I
with
don't even know
tears
why I
rolling
do
in my eye.
bro.
What I'm trying to tell you is this, homie Ricky.
Yeah,
This
I've
is what
heard the
manic
experience of what you're trying to tell me, man. Jeez.
this is what
Lord.
manic depression looks like. This is what manic depression sounds like.
You
And
sound
if
like
I had
Ryan
to,
Garcia.
that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at. Right?
Americans, bro. Too much time.
Well, here's the thing.
Bro.
Here's the thing.
Man.
When I was talking about these things going on, you know who was helping me? Who was trying to understand me? My loved ones,
I
my
know.
friends. They were. And you know who wanted to beat my ass up? Who's the one who was calling me all kinds of names and telling me to get away from me? Everyone else. Right? Because nobody else needs to help you. Right? No one else has to concern themselves about a stranger. Ryan Garcia is a stranger that you don't know, nor do you owe anything for him. And if you follow his Instagram and you start reading all these messages, everybody's praying for this guy, this multimillionaire, a guy who had everything, who we've provided all of the attention for. And you know who doesn't get that attention, homie Ricky? The other fighters, like Edwin Valero, who was suffering from drugs and depression and mental health, and he killed his wife and he hung himself. You know who no one else also pays attention to or reached out to with a warm embrace? Danny Garcia, who cried before you after he became victorious after beating Jose Benavides Jr. He cried because he was depressed. He revealed himself to the world as an individual that needed help, that he needed a fight for catharsis to overcome his demons. And you know what I remember? I remember a lot of these channels. They were looking at Danny Garcia and they were showing that face with his red eyes and his mouth curled up, and they were making fun of him. Why? Because these fighters, they're just tools for our entertainment. And once they reveal themselves as fallible and human and sentimental, we turn our backs on them. Ryan Garcia has so much more than these guys. And he's not getting ridiculed. He's getting showered with praises for his courage and saying, "Oh, we wish you the best. You're a man of God." And you know what these other fighters have never done? Even though they were suffering from depression, they never said, "God, God this, God that." And when you see somebody like Ryan Garcia that has everything, and he uses and manipulates it and betrays it, how can you respect that? How can you wish him the best? If you drive by thousands of people on the daily in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, all of these people, you drive by them and you never stop and say, "Hey, I wish you the best, you homeless man. Hey, I wish you the best, you drug addict. Hey, I wish you the best, you schizo." Why does Ryan Garcia have so much consideration and no one else does? And what I'm trying to get at, homie Ricky, is this. Look at those around you and help those around you. Start there. Find compassion in your heart to help out those around you. The homeless that's panhandling on the corner. If you can't help him get a job. If you run into a person that's obviously hungry and you can't share food, break bread with them. But here's the other thing. These individuals can also be deadly. So help at your own risk, because some of them do have issues and they will turn on you violently. So here's the thing: if you help somebody, you're a good person. If you don't help somebody, I don't judge you. Why? Because I've seen people that have been helped by others, and they end up killing that person that they helped, that was being their aid, that was helping them out. Look, I'm not trying to be harsh, homie Ricky. All I'm trying to say is this: if you can, help, but at a distance, right? Always be careful of the person that's depressed and our drugs. Try to help them, but at a distance, because you are also a person that deserves to be showered with praises and embraced, and people should come at you and wish you the best and pray for you, because you're doing the right thing, because you're not doing drugs, because you're not acting like a fool, because you're not betraying like Ryan Garcia. I have well wishes for Ryan, but I also understand nobody helped me out. The stranger never wished me a good word. This is not resentment. This is just the reality. So if there's people out there that say F Ryan Garcia, I'm okay with that.
I feel like every single time we go live, you gotta make it about you, man. But man, that's a lot to take in. So I can only imagine for the listeners that tuned in for your long diatribe and soliloquy. Not saying that you were speaking to yourself. I had to listen to all of that, man. But geez, um, drink some more water, man. Jeez.
Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to say,
No,
homie
no,
Ricky,
I
is
don't need to
this.
hear anything else, man. I get it. I get it. I understand. You look, man. When it comes down to these fighters,
Mhm,
their salvation is their training, is the discipline. It's a love-hate relationship with the sport of boxing. And like every single one of us, we deal with a certain level of stress. A lot of it could be internal, external. A lot of it is, at least from a man's standpoint, am I doing enough? Right? There's always that, just the stress of life, you know, the stress of time that it's like we're aging rapidly and there's all this access and everything starts to get more expensive. Everybody deals with these stress factors. We get it.
mhm, mhm,
But we have to overcome. And everyone has their cathartic methods. They have their way to deal with their anxiety, their anxious, whatever the case may be, death. Everybody goes through these same topics. But the reality is, man, we have to stop dwelling and just live. We think too much. You see, a lot of the time, a lot of people look at the word work and they turn around. They think that people in the past didn't work, that they were so free. All they did in their life was work. They had time to wander, and there was people that wrote books and songs and things of that nature. But they always stayed true to the work, to building something, a great foundation. They didn't have time to, I'm not saying they didn't procrastinate, but they didn't have time to do so as much as we have. Again, going back to the word access, we have access to so many different types of food, people at a disposal through the internet, through our cellular devices, through technology. And I
mhm,
feel that we haven't moderated our use of consumption correctly. That's where a lot of these issues and these quote mental illness, everyone has a mental illness, it seems like. And that's
mhm,
everybody's excuse for a lot of things, man. And it's not okay. And it's not okay. And it's something that's being embedded and kind of like pushed through with so many narratives. And again, this access to a lot of certain exposure to people, to food, man, it's like just do the work. Like El Pachuco goes, it's okay to struggle. Life is hard. Just do the work. There's nothing wrong with work. Okay? Because believe me, if you had all the freedom in the world, most of us would not know what to do with that type of freedom. Most of us would not like, if we were all rich or if we were extremely rich, where we can travel all the world and do all these things, you really wouldn't appreciate it. You really wouldn't. But if you're staying true to you, who you are, and true to your work, I guarantee you, once you learn and appreciate the efforts that you're putting into it, you're gonna appreciate every single thing in life that you build and come around to. You see what I'm saying? Because you know what it's willing to take to get the job done. For example, if you build your own home, your own car, your own family, a gaming room, and it takes years and time, energy to whether paint the walls, decorate, put wood ceiling, collect toys for 30 years, Pokemon cards, whatever the case may be. When you build something, you're going to have self gratification that you created that. You see, and that's one of the things that a lot of people in the past years, they had to harvest their land. I mean, we still do it too now, but the fact that we don't have to scavenge for food and create our own food and everything is out in this fast food markets and grocery stores, we rob ourselves of the satisfaction of really enjoying that savory apple because we know, we go to the grocery store, spend 30 bucks and we can get 100 more. But when you have to discipline yourself and water it and watch that beautiful tree grow from a little seed to a beautiful epic tree, organically. That's when you really truly appreciate the savory taste of that green or red apple. And we've really lost touch with nature, man. That's really what it comes down to.
Hmm.
And again, when it comes down to fighters and people like Ryan Garcia, which are ourselves, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or everyone's perfect, because none of us are. But yeah, man, it's tough, man. It's tough, and that's why I didn't really want to come in here and laugh at Ryan, because it's just not a laughing matter.
Yeah, no,
Man,
it's not.
I started off in yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough,
Yeah,
but
no, it is tough, homie. But I just wanted to let you know, right? Whatever it is that we get from out of this whole uh, Ryan Garcia manic depression, trolling, sitting this thing. At least it's opening up the doors for conversation. Uh, it's so that people can understand that it can, whatever it is, whatever's going on. If it is an authentic case of just like a person losing their mind because of drugs, or maybe sometimes just the reality of life in and of itself, homie, is enough for your mind to flip on you, for your mind to just continue to imagine the worst of things. And we have this opportunity to talk about these things. um, I do feel betrayed, and like I think a lot of people will, about Ryan Garcia for what he means in the sport of boxing, right?
what
Like
do you mean
for
betrayed?
well, the thing is, for some of us that have been following his career for years, we thought that he had so much potential, right? He was a better looking version of Deontay Wilder, a very action packed fighter that has speed and power, and he could end the fight with one punch. We love that in the sport,
But what
right?
do you mean betrayed?
Because he had these opportunities to provide us some great fights, and instead he starts putting on mediocre performances because he's no longer interested in the sport, and because of the opportunity that he has on his side, which is that he can favorably touch the lives of upcoming athletes, the younger generation that look up to him, that want to aspire to have opportunities like him or be like him, right? To get the kind of women that he does, to get the kind of opportunities to shine in television, to take on the kind of fights that he's been having and get the rewards, those kind of things. He's betrayed the youth that he could lead by example, the one that he talks about, right? Jesus. Jesus led by example. He's probably the exemplar for the greatest of sacrifice to do the right thing for others. Ryan speaks about that man, but he doesn't live like that. It's a total betrayal of the people that look up to him, that follow him, and for us boxing fanatics, he is basically betraying this opportunity that he has to become a champion against a undisputed, undefeated fighter. An opportunity that he doesn't deserve. And instead of taking that, how many other fighters wouldn't want to be in Ryan Garcia's shoes right now to fight Devin Haney? Matthias, Lopez, Barbosa, Jose Ramirez, Taylor, all of them would. And all of them probably deserve that shot more than Ryan Garcia. To say that they defeated a former undisputed lightweight fighter
But
who
you
is now
see,
a
that's
one-time belt
not
holder.
Ryan Garcia's fault, though. That's Devin Haney's fault. See, Devin has all the leverage and all the power. He has all the credibility. And when you
No,
have no, listen, and when you
no, no,
have
no.
all
It's
the
because what Drew is
credibility,
making fun of me for.
hold on, when you have all the credibility, right, and all the leverage and power, and people see that you're building a true, honest legacy, like Kanye West was, and you go and give Kim Kardashian all the access of what you've built, your kingdom with your music and how you connect with the fans. Same thing with Devin Haney. When you give Ryan this access and you bypass the hardworking fighters that you stated, like Camaron Zepeda, like Arnold Barbosa that are waiting in line and for that shot. And there's a spoiled brat like Ryan Garcia who's willing to throw it all the way at the table. That's not Ryan's fault. As it is Kim Kardashian that gets access to all these athletes that can't keep it in their pants. This is the problem. Those are the problem. They are the problem. Devin Haney is the problem. Because for the first time, he's taking a shortcut in life. And by dealing with Ryan Garcia. You see? And this is where these fighters lose their mind. This
No,
is
he's
how
not.
Kanye lost his mind. How do you think he lost his mind?
Who?
When you hear stories where Chris Paul is in bed with his quote unquote wife, I think any of us, if we saw any other man in our bed playing our video games and in our bed with our lady, we would damn near lose all our minds. This is the problem with every single one of these individuals that we're speaking of, right? And Devin Haney, knowing this, agrees with the shenanigans, man. And this is the problem. This fight should not be happening because beating Oscar Duarte does not give you the right for a shot of a pound for pound fighter who's undisputed at the age of 23.
Look, I think
Whoa,
what's up,
who's
man?
there?
How you been, man? My bad. I forgot. I need to introduce myself.
Yeah, please do.
Um,
So
what's up, man? It's
disrespectful.
Drew. It's Drew in the his A. I'm just kidding. Yeah, man. How you guys doing? Good. Good.
Yeah, I'm great, man.
Bro,
Nice.
I just opened up my heart and I revealed my vulnerabilities so that everybody in the world could listen in and criticize me for the rest of my life. How do you think I feel?
That's your fault, man.
You feel?
No,
You
I
probably
feel
feel.
great.
You
It's
feel
Fantic,
complete.
brother.
You feel complete. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
But
look,
yeah,
I feel great.
nice.
Yeah, he
But
just
yeah,
took a
no.
massive dump on us, bro. And he was like, "You guys smell that?"
No,
Wow.
well, come on, get out of
Anyways,
here. My beautiful wife just cooked. Here, let me tell you, my beautiful wife just cooked lasagna from scratch
Listen, you're no
with
different than Ryan Garcia. You guys gotta
linguine
stay quiet, man.
talk
and a
about
great.
Ryan.
I am Ryan. That's what I try to tell you. I am Ryan.
I
But you
know.
guys are disrespecting me. Why
I
don't you
don't even
guys
know why
shower me with praises and everything?
I don't even know why I let you ramble on that rant, man.
Yeah.
Put this
Because
video.
you
Anyways,
could learn something from it.
I
look,
don't need to learn
look.
nothing
I'm gonna
from
just
you at
go
all.
off. Well, I'm gonna just go off
I've
of
been staying away from people like you my whole life.
no, I'm gonna just look. I'm gonna just go off of what Rick just said. Um, as far as Ryan goes, I think something happened. Like ever since he started like beefing with Oscar. Calling him out like out in public like that. I think it really scarred their relationship. Therefore, it kind of changed the direction of his career. I think now Oscar realized how childish he was acting, or kind of he was steeping to his level, and he realized how immature he looked, and he was like, "Well, what? I'm gonna just do what you asked me. I'm gonna give you all these fights. However it goes, because he was trying to build him for a reason. He was trying to keep him away from certain opponents so he can actually take his time in his career and actually learn some new tools. He's just kind of speeding things up, and he's kind of overwhelming himself, honestly. And I mean, he does have the ability to give Devin a good fight, but I think stylistically, it's just a bad fight for him. And as far as Devin, I forgot what you just said about Devin. You just said that he's not taking the right fights. He needs to fight Barbosa.
No,
I
I didn't say
think.
that at all.
Oh, okay. You said something about Devin though, but
Yeah, is that he's finally taking a shortcut in life when this whole time in his career he's been building a proper legacy the hard way.
okay. Yeah, I misunderstood that. Yeah, you're right. He is. He's doing it the right way, and he's actually, fighting the opponents that the people actually ask him. And I think Ryan right now is kind of in a sense like getting in the way of that Barbosa fight. They're ready to trigger that fight whenever he fucks up though. But he's he that's what makes it good is that, having Arnold Barbosa there kind of pressures Ryan to like, like let him know like, hey, we got a backup. Like we know that you want to, you're trying to like pull out of this fight. We don't know that for a fact, but you have these little antics, you know. So it's, you know, that we got this backup fight. So yeah, no, it's just Ryan's just tripping, bro. I think he doesn't know what to do with all this attention, and I think it's pretty much getting to him, you know, and that he's starting to stretch out, you know, as far as his popularity. He's starting to get some attention that he's used to not getting, and I feel like he just doesn't know how to act, bro. He's trying to impress a certain crowd or something, man, and it's kind of, you know, throwing us the wrong way. Um, you know, I think it's just a newer generation, you know, that wants to see him, uh, you know, look a certain way in his career, and I just feel like he needs to act like himself. He needs to act like a fighter, man. Because man, I didn't think anyone else was gonna act crazier than Teofimo, but this guy is topping him, you know, and he's acting, you know, he just doesn't know how to act, bro. Like the cameras and the lights are just getting at him, and you just look at Devin, bro, how composed, how well spoken he is. It's like, bro, like he's not folding under no pressure. All the lights not blaming, you know, are not getting to him, and it's crazy because Ryan's been through this before with Tank, you know. So it's just this Devin fight's really starting to get to him to the point where he just doesn't know who he is anymore, you know, and he's just kind of losing himself. And I mean, I'm like, bro, like, you need to delete your Instagram if you can't do anything about it. Like, you need to deactivate it. And there's a way to do that. You can call Instagram and you can do it, but it's like, why do I still see that post that you have up? You know, that's kind of having everyone question you, and you just kind of
Absolutely.
look at like you should be doing that. And he said he canceled all his credit cards, which is good, but it's like, bro, like, why you sending these misguided messages and just blaming it on on some imaginary situation, you know, like, you know, just kind of own up to it or something, man. Like, start acting right, man, because you're kind of embarrassing Derek. Derek's probably like, never again. I'm never gonna coach this dude again. You know, like, this is too much attention. I'm focused.
Embarrassing Derek, man. No disrespect to Derek, but who cares about Derek? It's embarrassing
Yeah,
to his family, to his mom and dad. Look, man,
yeah.
it's outright disrespectful.
Well, look, Derek is the one that actually said he doesn't need to coach Ryan. He's doing Ryan a favor. Ryan picked him, you know, so he's just doing what he's his job, you know, and it's like end up for this, you know.
Imagine if you're Derek James, and even though he's bald, and you're
I
standing
went to see
and you're sitting next to Ryan Garcia's father, who's criticizing Bill Haney for having nappy hair, bro.
right.
So if I'm Derek, you know what I'm doing, bro? I'm just standing up from the seat and I'm walking out. I'm like, hey, that's how you feel? Bounce. Like you said, I don't need Ryan. I'm doing him a favor. Damn fucking
Yeah,
right. This is a
yeah,
guy who is outright disrespectful to the Canelo camp. Doesn't listen to Eddie Reynoso's instruction, and Canelo doesn't
yeah,
listen to a gold medalist, a five-time divisional champion, one of the faces and pillars of the modern era of 2000s and above, and Oscar De La Hoya, and disrespects him and continues to do so. If I'm Derek, I'm not sitting there. I'm not doing it for a paycheck, bro. I got too much respect for myself. No disrespect, but if my nephew started talking to me like that, I'm walking out and I'm decking him. You ain't gonna be saying none of that shit to me. What are we talking about?
yeah,
At the
yeah,
end of
yeah,
the day, it's like, nah, man. At the end of the word is be respectful. Be
yeah.
respectful. That's crazy, bro.
This is not how you build a fight. You don't, like, this is far beyond
Absolutely not. And
uh
for boxing with Frank Bay saying Ryan is trolling guys, if he's trolling, not only is he
horrible.
disrespectful, right? But bro, what an insensitive POS.
Yeah,
Bro, like there's people that actually believe in Baphomet and all these Illuminati things and these sacrifices that's going on, and people are actually dealing with certain things like that. And imagine if he's just trolling. He's taking
yeah,
a page out of Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Yeah, and guess what happened to them when they went into that sacred forest in Japan?
yeah,
And people still gave him a pass. That's crazy. Well, they
yeah.
really didn't, but you know, like
He's pretty
more
much
president
discredit.
than ever.
What was that?
No, it's because you guys gotta listen, because you guys talking and not listening enough. Keep on, bro.
Now go ahead.
No, I said what I said. I already
Oh,
stated like what I needed to say.
oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's just crazy because yeah, no, Derek. You know, I feel bad for Derek because, I mean, yeah, you hear about all this shit about Ryan, but it's like, bro, I didn't. Yeah, Derek's probably like, I did not know this dude was acting about to act this crazy, you know, and that was super disrespectful by Henry. For Derek just to sit next to him, you're right. Like, I'm surprised he didn't get up and just look at him. You know, like I know Bernard was kind of covering his mouth, and he was like, he was probably telling him something like, "Come on, like put it down or put the mic down or something," you know, and it kind of gives a bad image, bro, like on the whole family, and it's like, bro, and then you have the mom defending it. It's like, why you getting up and yelling and defending it now? It's like, stop it. Like, you should be embarrassed and just sit down. You know, just sit down and just don't even defend that bullshit. You know, but it's just them. They look all bad, bro. The
Yeah,
Garcias.
well, that's what a mom's supposed to do. I mean, don't matter if the son is in the wrong, she will always back her son because man, like she raised you for X amount of years and you were in her for 9. You know what I'm saying? So like like a mother is always going to defend their children. Don't matter if they're in the wrong, don't matter if they did the bad deed or whatever the case may be. That's what a mother is always want to do. So I can't really blame her for it. Um, it's just more of parents should not have to defend their sons when they do something bad, right? And vice versa. If you're a child, you don't pick your parents. And if they do something bad, you shouldn't have to be responsible for another person, individual's actions. Unless, not only you are an accomplice, but, unless you're at fault too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. A mother will always protect her children. I don't blame her for that. Even though she's in the wrong, you're in the wrong, but it is what it is. Like, I understand where you're coming from. Like, you have to.
Yeah, yeah, but
Of course,
Ryan
you
is
know the Mexican G. Of course, you know.
what happened?
He goes, I don't think what he said was that bad. It's
Oh
not
my god.
so much about, oh, wow, you have nappy hair. Okay, that's just a fact. Like, but why is that even like? I don't even know who started it first, but it's like, bro, like you can't have a different comeback. You don't have something witty. You're just
That's it.
thinking about appearances. Hey, man, you got a big nose, Bill. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that issue too if he said the same shit.
yeah. I didn't like
You
that.
know
I
what I'm
didn't like.
saying? Like, what are we talking about here? Of course, you don't find nothing wrong with the hair. Like, like, dude, I'm not even gonna talk to you, bro. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, bro. For him to just go for his hair, bro, I'm like, that shows some kind of discrimination from you, bro. Like, why you kind of focused on people's appearance, bro? Like that's a horrible fucking thing to say, bro. Like, that's a horrible thing to say, bro. Like that just kind of shows his like where he's at, you know, like what he kind of stands for and what he, how Mexicans are like some of the older people are like racist, bro. Like some of you know, some of I've met some old ass racist Mexicans, bro, and they're okay with it. But when they talk racist, they kind of whisper. They're like, oh, yeah, like they kind of say whatever they got the whatever racist shit they say, you know. But
Look,
yeah, no,
yeah. So it goes like this. So I don't know who started it first, but Ryan's dad called Bill Haney and them a pimp, and that he's pimping out his son.
mm,
Okay, which means to exploit. All right, and if you're telling a father that he's exploiting his children, okay, at that certain point when it's not true, when I've helped my son, right, build a company, Devin Haney Promotions, when I have his money being allocated and being resourced and invested into CBD businesses, clothing lines, X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Property. That's called exploitation. That like, what are we talking about? And Bill Haney, whatever it is that he responded with, oh, you wearing a toupee. Wait, all of a sudden you can talk about my lips, my nose, my skin color, and my hair. Like, bro, like at the end of the day, the person that was getting torn apart wasn't Bill Haney. Again, you're slandering and pushing a false narrative. In what world is Bill Haney exploiting Devin?
Yeah.
If you can explain to me that how Bill Haney exploited Devin, then I'm gonna be like, all right, what you're saying about the nappy hair comments is fair play. Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. I'm gonna be like, all right. Dude sounds hella salty and in his feelings. I'm not salty or in my feelings. I'm telling you to explain the situation
No,
where
look,
Bill is exploiting his son.
watch. Let me
And
help you
once
out
you can
too.
tell me that, then I'm gonna be like, oh man, you know what? You're right, bro. Like shit.
No,
I
let
didn't
me
think about
help.
it.
Yeah, let me help you out, bro. Like,
No. I'm not asking you. I'm asking them
oh,
because they're the ones that are leaving like 50
yeah,
comments.
yeah, I know, bro. Like, okay, look, watch. So it's okay for black people to say certain things, bro, but it's extra racist when we say it about them. That's just the way it is, bro. That's just the double standard in America that most people don't understand, that they can't stand, you know? Because at the end of the day, we can say the N word, but as long as we say it not like in a manner where we genuinely say it, then it's okay with it. But why can't like black people? They can't really say much. Like they can't really. There's no really terminology for them to say. They just talk they just talk, bro. But it's just we're allowed to say that word. So it's a
I don't
double
even know what
standard.
you're talking about, bro. I like simplify it for me, bro. What's going on?
The
What word are you talking about?
N
Like
word.
nowhere in my vocabulary am I interested in saying any type of word that I can't say.
Yeah, I know, but the N word. The N word.
Okay, what about the word?
Like we're able to say it.
I've never needed to say it to uh to a
I
black
know.
person, to any person. Now, do I sing the lyrics of a song? Yeah. And guess what? If one of my homies is black and he's in the back seat, if the song's saying it and I slip it, I'm not gonna be like, hey dude, I apologize, I'm sorry. Because it's not towards him. I don't have to direct that energy towards anybody. You see what I'm saying? Like, nah, bro, like that's never been in my headspace to naturally say any type of words. I don't even
No,
like saying bad words. You know what I mean, like it just slips out, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, sometimes I'll be like, hey, my
no,
bad.
but
I didn't mean to say the F word or the S word. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, damn.
you do agree that there's like a double standard on that.
As long as I'm not coming from a place of hate or anything, I don't feel like I ever have to defend a position of like what I'm saying here and what I'm trying to say to this guy, Mac Boxing Magitech and the Mexican G. All I'm saying is this. Give me an example of where Bill is exploiting his son Devin. Because if you're telling me that I'm pimping out my children,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take. I'm not. I'm gonna be like, what are you talking about, bro? Of course, I'm gonna get in my feelings. I'm gonna knock you out. What do you mean I'm exploiting my children and I'm pimping them out? Am I putting my kids on OnlyFans and explicit content and I'm not supposed to do it? Until you tell me those things that's what he's doing, then I'm gonna be like, all right, you're correct. But if I give knowledge and game to my son to not do what I did, to put him into a position of power, to become a champion, a millionaire, to have his money being allocated in different investments and treasury bonds and Roth IRAs and medical care and investing in all these things. That's called exploitation. In what world am I going to let you call me a Don King?
Yeah.
In what world am I going to let you do that?
Yeah, I don't see it. I
Again,
don't
you
see.
guys haven't even stated nothing
Yeah.
because you guys are bullshitting. That's just like, what are we talking about, you guys?
You hear that, y'all?
Anyway, the Mexican G goes, and you guys noticed that nobody ever said nothing about Crawford, about his racial shit that he said towards Raza when he was fighting Jose Benavides. I actually addressed that in a 3-hour live when I said Canelo versus Anthony Joshua is a mega fight. It's a ridiculous title, but the point that I was making is like, bro, nobody really liked and messed with Crawford like that. And I talked about it in that previous live. You know what I mean? I talked about how they were saying crazy about each other's moms. Like, bro, in what world is that okay? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like to this day, that's why I was like, bro, if I'm David Benavides, I want to fight, but remember that crazy shit he said towards my mom and my older brother? I'm not gonna let
Oof.
that slide. I
Yeah.
talked about that in that video. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not gonna go back and forth on certain things that I've already addressed in the past. But again, when you guys bring valid situations and comments, then you guys gotta do what it is.
Yeah,
Boxing
no. So
Ryan
look,
Bill is using his son. Ryan is a millionaire, and Ryan's dad is not even there barking like Bill. Look, man, we've always known that Bill is the mouthpiece of Devin Haney. Yes, Devin Haney can speak. He's not the most eloquent fighter. his father speaks for him, and that's okay, because overall, like, Bill does a pretty good job as a
He does.
as a manager, whatever the case may be. And at the same time, if Devin don't want to speak, you need to speak. What's going on, Speed?
Yeah. So yeah, just in case, because we do have a very animated chat that somehow gets the impression that somehow is left with the impression, even though we've addressed some of the racial uh, issues regarding the sport from both the Mexican brown side and the African American black side. Somehow our listeners are still under the impression that we are pro black at the cost of our own pro brownness. And I just wanted to say one thing, guys. You guys really should listen to most of the lives that we've been doing so recently. We went hard on Devin Haney when no one else addressed the fact. I'm telling you, I want you to look at any of these other channels, right? And tell us who was addressing Bill
These are
Haney.
the same people that say that you're not Mexican. Why would you
No, that's
want to?
look.
Hold on,
I know. I don't know how these people.
Hold on. Let me ask you this. Why do you even want to cater and dialogue with them? Like, bro, these are the same people.
Homie Ricky, you were just doing that yourself.
They don't even respect
You were just doing that yourself.
A Mexican, a mom, a Mexican dad. You ever see El Pachuco or Vince Vargas ever say that we're not Mexican enough? But these people here, Magic Boxing, the Mexican G, that's the first thing that they say to you.
What did he say?
No, that's what they always tell you, bro. You're not Mexican.
I don't know. I've never heard him say that. I know the other guy, Killer Instinct.
Hold on.
Look. Homie Ricky.
Hold on. He said it to you like 1,000 times in here, and he said it, and even the BDA boxing channel where you're like a member. I even know this stuff because sometimes I'll be in there listening to the chat, and they be not following you, but you guys are in the same circuit area. And then those are the messages that are being
no. I haven't ran into Boxing Magic Mech site is set here, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because here's the thing, though. We have a proven track record that we address all issues fairly. We address all issues in an unbiased fashion. So maybe Boxing Magic or the Mexican G may have missed out on a couple of the lives. This is the opportunity to enlighten them and give them an opportunity to catch up on exactly what our opinion are about making things racial. You know that we have gone hard against the Haneys. Just like we advocate for their movement in the sport, I am a big fan of the Haneys and how they're moving in the sport professionally and in the ranking system. I can also admire them for that and criticize them for trying to be gatekeepers about a race of people, a culture of people that they don't know nothing about. We went hard on them, the Mexican. We went hard on them, Boxing Magic Mech side, on Bill Haney when he tried to say that Ryan Garcia was not Raza. I went hard on the Mexicans too when they continued to criticize our Mexican side, when they were trying to say that we weren't Mexican, that we were Fakexican. We were being critical on both sides because you're not going to define us. No one's going to define us. A black man is not going to define who is La Raza. We stood hard and we went hard, and it's apparent that you missed out on that live. That's a fault of yours.
Angel Chavez,
but it's not. But it has nothing to do with us, Boxing Magic. We are fair when we tell you that we analyze all of these topics, and we don't come over here to troll, and we don't come over here to clickbait. We never do that. We keep it honest. We address all sides, the good and the bad. That's the one thing that you can rely on, that we are going to address these things, not with the flag of the Chicano and the Huelga bird and the Mexican and the American and say, hey, everybody that's for these things is good in our book and that's it. No, we're going to invite all the people that look at the sport and all things socially and in a biased fashion, and we want to get to the truth. If that's what you're here for, then yes, welcome on board. But if you have a bias, and that's okay if you do, but if you have a bias and you're trying to pass off your bias as right and everyone else is wrong, you're not going to get anywhere here, because we're trying to find ways to keep it valid, because it's just sticking to race is never always the truth. It's never always the right thing. But I do agree with you. A lot of the stuff that Bill Haney and Ryan and Devin Haney are approaching this sport and the way that they're promoting, making it racial, is completely foul. I completely disagree with it. We went hard on all of these guys, but I assure you, if you just catch a couple of the lives back, you'll know that we went super hard. And we're not capping for the black man. We're not black. We're brown. But I'm not gonna cap for a brown man either. If he's all cap himself, we go hard on a Ryan Garcia because he's making us look bad. That's all we're saying. And maybe he's not even making you look bad. Maybe he's not even making me look bad. He's only making the people that defend him and that that are represented by him look bad. If
Yeah.
you are a type of person that moves like Ryan Garcia, that has God-given talents that you decide to walk away from and exploit for money at the violation and the cost and the sacrifice that you should be providing for the fans of the sport, you should not support that guy. And Ryan
Hold
Garcia
on,
is
hold on.
doing a lot wrong for us.
First and foremost, I don't ever look in myself into another boxer and I gotta live vicarious through them, or two, put these
Yeah,
fighters on a pedestal where they
exactly.
represent me. No, that's not one of the things that I look at. One of the things that I put into perspective is this.
Oh
I'm
no, I'm
gonna
not saying
support
that.
this.
Mexican.
Kind of what you're saying right there. That's what you're saying right there. What I'm gonna say is this. I don't care what other people say or think about quote unquote my people. All right. All I know is this. I want everybody to succeed and achieve their dreams, right? And what I'm gonna do is when it comes down to fighters that actually are trying to be the pillars and the epitome of boxing, what it should look like. Fighters like Canelo Alvarez. Now, I'm not saying they always have to do the right thing, but what I'm saying that in terms of body of work from a collective standpoint, when they're still fighting the fights that they are giving us, right? Like I said, we talked about this. It's not about being perfect. It's not even about chasing perfection. But in terms of this dying sport of boxing, those that try to at least uphold it and give it a standard, like Teofimo, like Devin, like Arnold Barbosa, fighting guys like Cholo Salcedo, guys like Jose Ramirez that are fighting guys like Jose Orozco, fighting guys like Josh Taylor. When I see guys that are building a legacy, even guys like Lomachenko, who I think, there's a movement to really bypass some in certain things. When they try to do the correct thing and uphold what they perceive to be the finest standards of boxing, that's who I'm going to back. Now, of course, I want guys like Emiliano Vargas, Richard Torres, and La Raza, so to speak, to succeed, of course. But if somebody says, oh, man, they're bums, the Mexican style of boxing is bums, then I don't care. I don't know what you're watching, because they're not only the most action-packed, but in terms of the epitome of what a prize fighter should look like, look no further than amazing fights that Canelo, Eric Morales, and company have given us. Now, there are times that there's amazing fighters that sleep under our radar, like Raymond Ford, and give you the amazing pound-for-pound legendary performance like they did this Saturday, right? And there's times where my favorite fighters and people that I know, like Ruben Villa, get beat by a Mexican in Emmanuel Navarrete. And, they have to resort to running in order to survive. Like, it happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like, oh, that's disgrace. Like, nah, bro, these guys are trying, But then there are those guys like Ryan Garcia that had everything that every other hardworking boxer aspires to be. And just because this guy has found a loophole and he circumvented and bypassed the proper way to build a legacy because he has followings or a look that gravitates towards the populace, and he doesn't take advantage of it the properly way and is disrespectful, as you use the word betrayed, that's the problem that I have with it. You see? Because there's guys like Oscar Valdez, there's guys like El Venado Lopez, and plenty of others that have to earn the buck the extremely hard way, and they're barely breaking even. And then there's guys like Ryan that, again, they found the loophole. They understand the exploit, the pimping of the game, and maximize it to the fullest and don't really respect it. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, if I were to get a Tank Davis sweepstake, say I was a legit fighter, a badass, you know what I mean? and I got knocked out by Tank, I'm not gonna cast aspersions and put blame on everybody else. I'm gonna be like, you know what, bro? Good fight, good shit. Man, you're just better than me. Like, that sucks. That's a hard pill to swallow. I understand. But like, at least I got beat by a legit fighter. And that's where Ryan didn't need to cast all these aspersions and blame and slander Golden Boy and go on this tirade with Bernard Hopkins and company and be utterly disrespectful, where a lot of people side with you. I'm not trying to win an argument here. What I'm
Yeah.
basically saying is this. Well, I already said it what it is, but yeah, carry on, man. I gotta use the restroom.
Yeah, no. In that case, that's the one thing, right? Look, guys, I've always said it, right? In the sport of boxing, start locally, right? Start locally. And if you guys live in Mexican-centric neighborhoods where a lot of our own people there are the more concentrated population, and if you follow the sport of boxing locally, you're gonna support your own people. Let's start there. But once you start supporting your own people, you're gonna run into other people of other skin tones, of other cultures that are not like ours, and then they're gonna
But
come
this,
and they're gonna give it 100%, and sometimes you're gonna win or lose, and when you lose you start to respect them, right? And then you develop an admiration because you know what you're worth. And if someone comes there and does better than you admire them because you know how hard you work and how much you've sacrificed. So you can only imagine that the reason that they're better than you is because they've worked harder and they've sacrificed more than you. You have to admire that, right? So the way that I've learned to respect all people, and besides not being racist, of course, is by learning to engage with them. And this is why I don't come with a bias. Do I prefer a style of boxing? Absolutely. And it does turn out to be a type of fighter that's closer to the Mexican because they're more aggressive, they're more come forward, they're more exciting, but just with a little bit of boxing skill, with a little bit of just a little step back to throw it in there, and it makes the perfect fighter. That's why I've always liked Miguel
but
Cotto.
this,
That's why I liked a lot of these Puerto Rican fighters because they fight a lot like Mexicans, except they don't mind moving laterally, right? And we
y-
know that these are all stereotypes, right, Drew? Like, I mean, you
yeah,
want to interrupt?
yeah, but nah, go ahead, keep going.
No. I'm just saying, like,
Okay,
yeah, that's it.
yeah, okay, yeah, no, it's and this is the thing. Like, Ryan lives in the big ass city of, well, it's Riverside, but it's really connected to LA, right? And it's what, like a 30-minute drive to the city
Like
of LA.
Victorville or
So
something.
yeah, so he touches a lot more people, and when you serve more people, you make more money, and that pretty much is how we started off. Like, I don't know why he didn't go to the Olympics. Usually, you go to the Olympics, but and you get signed by Top Rank, but yeah, no, he touches a lot more people, bro. And I'm hearing my echo.
Oh, here we go with this. That's you, bro. You're the only one who hears your echo.
Yeah, nah.
No,
Anyways,
I think it's it's one of your guys' device for sure, man.
yeah.
Clarence Shields, man. Yeah, okay. It's great. You know what, guys? I really needed that. Just about an hour ago, I revealed and made myself vulnerable by speaking about my own manic depression and my bouts with drugs. And now you guys are making me laugh, right? That's what I love about these things, right? You guys come over here and listen to us, and then you still make us laugh. Yeah. So I guess nobody's gonna say nothing. Um, okay, just to read a couple of these comments. Let's just get them out there because it seemed like the homie Ricky was really just going on in these things. Look, Mexican G, I appreciate the fact that you subscribe to this channel because we are raza. We are. Uh, but I hope that you stay on, not because of the fact that we are raza, but because we keep it legit, right? That we keep it honest, right? We are gonna be supportive. We're also gonna be critical of our own when we need to, right? So I appreciate that support, but I hope that we can keep you on because you realize that we are bigger than that. I've always said that us brown people are the perfect people to rule as leaders. Why? Because
Wow.
we do have white in us. We do have black in us. That is the reason why we get the brown, right?
Hey
That's
man,
why
you speak for yourself, bro. I don't know
that's
what the hell is going
that's
on,
why
bro.
that's why us Chicanos, some of our more gangster type, we listen to soul music. The majority of it made by black men. This is why we relate to them. We also understand power. The white man is more known for being the type to rule and use the religion and everything to empower themselves. We respect that. That's why we don't hold the losses that we've incurred and the changes to our culture at the hands of the white man against them, because we understand that we have also been conquerors. We have been people that have subjected others to punishment and to taking over their lands. That's why Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and all of those places were once part of Mexico, because we took over them. We understand how to be winners. We understand how to take our defeats, right? We are the perfect people. And that's really all I'm trying to say. But because I expect us to be better than that, I also can be very critical about our own. Praise where praise is due, criticism when criticism is due. But again, we're not gonna make this a brown pride thing or
That's what exactly how
anti-black.
you just made it. That's exactly what you
I'm a
just made it, bro.
Chicano baby. But
Oh,
anyways,
man,
but I just
take
want
that to the worst speed channel, bro. Like, man, get the fuck out of here with that
yeah.
bullshit.
But okay, here's the one thing that I
No,
agree
no, no.
with
I think
Boxing
you said
Magic.
peace. Yo, Drew,
No,
what do you say, brother? What do you say?
who Drew?
Yeah, is he here?
Yeah, he's there.
Drew, get off the toilet, man.
So so
No,
homie,
no, just
one thing
let
that
him
you
silence.
said, one
Talk
thing
way
that
too
you
much.
said is when Boxing Magic asked you about Bill, uh mention you didn't address that part. Bill was the
I
one that
addressed
took the
every
first
single one of
shot,
their parts. I addressed every single one of their parts. When
the
I
one that he
asked
called him
him,
a balding toupee wearer.
when I told him, I addressed that. When I told him to, or those boxing and the Mexican G, when I told them to tell me how is Bill exploiting their son, right? And when Bill is exploiting Devin, and they couldn't come up with anything, they just deflected. And then they
No,
just said,
they
"Oh,
said, what
anytime that
about
the
the?
person moves up race to a conversation, they lost the argument." Man, get out of here,
No,
bro.
that's not
Like,
what they said.
that's
That's what
exactly
they
what.
said.
I'm
You
not
guys,
gonna be
you
around
and
that.
Drew made it seem as if it was a racist for Ryan Garcia's dad to say that a black man's hair was nappy after the black man made fun of him for being balding toupee wearer. That's really what the first shot was. I think it's completely fair that Ryan Garcia's dad attacked him on his hair if the other guy was attacking him on his hair. You see
I
what
don't
I'm
know
saying?
if that's how it went though, but
That's
okay.
how it went. That's why I said absolutely. That's why I was like, yeah, that's not racist. It's not like Ryan Garcia said, hey, you nappy headed guy. No, the other guy said, you sit down, you nappy headed, you toupee wearer. Go back over there and sit down with your toupee. It's what Bill Haney said. And then the other guy goes, yeah, well, this and that, you nappy head. And then the first guy that levies the accusation of being racist is Devin Haney. Well, I think that sounds racist. And like here, I was like, here you guys go again with the whole race card. Like, man, that's all the Haneys can write on. Race card. Trying to divide the black and the brown man and all of the fans of the sport and boxing by trying to make it racial. You have to go back and listen to that
First and
because you're
foremost,
missing a lot of context.
no, absolutely not. First and foremost, bro, you guys are goofy. It goes like this: someone calls you a toupee, basically saying that you have hair loss and that you're wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Okay? Did Bill Haney call Henry a greaser? Did he say
No, because
anything
he
like that?
doesn't have
Whoa,
greasy
whoa,
hair.
whoa, 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 whoa. Because he's just saying that you're wearing a wig. The other guy is talking about a certain characteristic.
No, it's about his hair.
No, it's overall about hair. But
No, 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 you're wrong.
again, if you're just talking about lips, right? And then you start being very descriptive. Hey man, why you got big lips? Rather than just the topic of lips. Do you understand
Yo,
the difference that you're being very descriptive and very
yeah.
intentional? When the other
No,
one
no, no. You're wrong, homie. You're wrong. It would be like this.
no,
It
no.
would be like
Hold
this.
on, hold on.
It
Why
would
do
be
you
like
think?
this.
Hold on. Wait, time. Why do you think? Why do you think when what's that old boy's name is Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia's father, was going off on Keith Thurman about nappy hair and X, Y, and Z, and he talking about Bud Crawford. Why do you think they got hit with so much backlash?
Why? You told me.
No, I asked you a question. I don't have to.
I don't know. Why did that was a long time ago. I didn't follow that stuff. Why?
What do you mean you don't follow that stuff? Yeah, you.
Yeah, no, that was a long time ago. What does this have to do with this? You told me. Just spit it out.
Why do you think it was it? Because bro, it was racial, bro. How you gonna?
Okay, well, tell me how.
What do you mean how? I just told you.
Oh,
When
God.
you're very descriptive, and we're talking about hair, right? Good hair versus bad hair. No big deal. I think we all know what good hair might look like and versus what bad hair might look like. But when you're being very descriptive, if you just say, "Oh man, you're wearing away, it's a toupee," is that saying that you're greasy?
No,
Why
you're.
you slick your hair back?
Yeah, you're not making a good comparison. You're not making a good comparison.
No,
If Devin Haney, if Bill Haney had called Ryan's dad a greaser, even though Ryan's dad does not have greasy hair, then we know he's being racist. You see what I'm saying? But if he calls him a toupee wearer, he's making fun of the man who has physical appearance that is realistic, right? So that's not racist. When he says that he's wearing a toupee, it's not racist. If the other guy, if Ryan Garcia's dad responds and makes fun of Bill's hair after Bill is the first one to make fun of his hair, that's not racist because he ends up saying something that can be considered a racial trope. But here's the thing, though. That would mean that you agree. That would mean that you agree with the impression that all black men have nappy hair. And you know what that says about you? That says that you believe those racist tropes. You see what I'm saying? One guy was made fun of because of his hair. The other guy made fun of because of his hair. Both of those things were true. Now, if the other guy had said something like, "You're a greaser," and he doesn't have hair, we know he's being racist. Now, if the brown man had said something like, "You know what? Your favorite food is fried chicken," and they have nothing to do with that, then we know they're being racist. But they were making fun of each other's hair, and that has nothing to do with being racist because it was the truth. And the black man started it. Homie Ricky, you forget, because I know you didn't watch that presser. I listened to it. I know who took first shots. And then after taking first shots, who's the one that pulls out the race card? The Haneys. The guys that we've already made 2 lives about, addressing racial gatekeeping and virtual what is that thing called? Virtual signaling, saying that a black man is not black enough because he's making good relations with a brown man against his own brown man. Come on. I can't even believe you're defending the Haneys.
Who threw the first shots?
Bill Haney.
So what about when he was talking about, man, you're pimping out your son, you're Don King? Who
Homie.
Was that before or after?
Bro, the guys said that he was doing coke. Who took the first shots? Who took the first shots?
Whoa.
How was that
The
racist?
Haneys took the first shots, bro.
When Ryan went up the podium, when Devin asked him, "Bro, what's wrong with her voice?"
It's called a man piece.
I think you have to understand the whole contextual, because Henry's been talking about that he's pimping out his son for quite some time now. It's not just started at that podium. That's just basically when everybody started seeing it to light. He's been saying it for a really long time.
Who has?
Henry, Ryan's father. But look, man, we deviated from the message of what we really wanted to talk about, and you guys wanted to make it about this brown pride and Quetzal Cuatro and all these situations. Look, well, hold on, man. Gotta relax a little bit, all right? What the problem about these press conferences is this: it's shenanigans. This fight is a joke. The presser is a joke. Everything about this is a joke. That's exactly what's been going on here. I don't care if it's divide and conquer tactics. I don't care if it's a selling point. I don't care if it's a humiliation ritual. I ain't with this nonsense. That's what you guys have to understand. This is ridiculous, bro. Whether it's nappy hair comments or, you wearing a toupee or you're pimping out my son. None of those shits, like, like if you were to tell me I'm pimping out my own people or pimping out literally like my daughter or my son, those are fighting words, bro. I'm gonna be like, in what world do you say that I'm pimping out my kid?
Yeah, that's insane, bro. Yeah,
And
because I don't know what.
that's one of the wildest shit. I don't care if you say that I have big lips or a big nose or long hair or I got cornrows or I listen to type of music. I ain't tripping about that. But I'm not gonna let you say or get away with you telling me that I'm pimping out my children. Because do we even really understand the meaning of these words?
Right. Yeah, no,
Right?
and they have
And
diff.
again, I don't care if they pull the race card and like, bro, don't worry about pulling the race card, Devin and Bill. Talk about how you pimping out my son. That's the biggest problem because if we're looking at the flip side, the bread owner of that family is Ryan Garcia. Now you can say Devin is but Bill had money. And I'm not saying Henry and his mom and Ryan's mom didn't have money, but what I am saying is this. Bill will check his son Devin and he guides him through a path,
Yeah.
right? Which could be the clean path. And then you have Ryan on the bad path, right? You can assume that this is the good path versus bad. Yo, whoa, is that country, man?
Yeah,
Yo,
and I just told them I just told them the
Who is that?
first live, and it's the most
from up
ridiculous one
north.
we've
Man,
ever had.
what's up, dude? Man,
Who is that?
anyway, salute to you, new country, man. Hopefully you've been well, man. We've been just going and blasting back and forth on some nonsense and what we think is the truth. But man, hopefully you're having a good, safe night.
Who is that?
Hopefully the weather and the elements aren't crazy up there, man. I know that here in Monterey, dude, it's been not that bad, but you know, we've been warned of tornadoes and but anyway, hopefully everything's
Yeah,
going well.
so Drew, you may not know who New Country is, but New Country is
No, he knows them. He knows them. We
Yeah.
were at the Ruben Villa, Gabe Flores, and Johnny Beck.
Oh.
And that remember him, Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we spoke to and you know he just approached
What's
me like,
up?
hey, Eric, what's up? And then I met him, and I'm not gonna say his
Damn.
first name on live, unless it's okay with him. But yeah, you met Country, and we were just chopping it up. He was talking about this amazing Brazilian cuisine restaurant up in Sacktown, and nah, man, it was cool, bro. It was cool.
That's
But
nice.
you know him, Drew.
Nice. What's up,
Yeah,
man?
we were talking about certain things, but okay, what were we talking about, man? Look, man.
Well, no. So first off, if you notice my response to him, as soon as I saw Warp Speed, I mean, when he responded to Warp Speed, I slapped my forehead and I was like, man, he hops on it. Probably the most divisive, most ridiculous live we've we've ever had. We're never this angry. Warp Speed, I swear. I mean, New Country, we're pretty chill, and we actually do have a lively chat that we never address these kind of topics with so much energy or anger and being all loud. But yeah, I think we got to chill. It's just that some of our listeners had this impression that we are biased for our own people, the brown man, when all we're trying to do is be unbiased and realistic and respectful of all people. But yeah, you're good.
It's like this. I don't really have a problem. I don't really have a problem with anybody having a bias. Like it's all right. I don't really like. Okay, you side with your people, whatever the case may be. I'm not tripping about that. That's only natural. You know, like for example, if I'm American, I'm gonna side with my Americans to succeed. Now that doesn't mean I'm not rooting for the fall of Japan, and Japanese fighters. No, that's not what I'm about. But like I know the American plight. Oh man, that guy's from my neighborhood, or that guy listens to certain music. I can relate to that. A bias, just the way I perceived it, is just like I don't look at it as a flaw. Just like it's relatable and it's okay to be biased. Now, I'm not gonna be ignorant, and I'm not gonna put my bias over somebody else's and just be like, nah, man, dude, we're superior and get off this crazy. Like, nah, bro, like that's something, completely different. But I would say with this Mexican G, Bill Haney, he goes, is a fake gangster. Yeah, man, he's very hypocritical. We talked about this in the past, man. If there's anybody that has pimped people, is Bill Haney. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's pimping out his son, but he's been a toxic to his culture and to his residents in Oakland, and that's why he did his time, right? And that's the only like little flaw that I see with them is how they try to like signal virtue and say that they're this clean perception of like not innocence, but oh man, this is what it's supposed to look like. You know, he like, talks down to people. You know, he's very patronizing, and I don't really like that because I'm like, bro, chill. You're not that guy. And when, like I stated in that video, I think it was 2 lives ago. Yeah, B Hop did test him, and he did check him, and he did tell him, "Hey, meet me in the restroom." And you know you feel away, and you're calling me a Sambo and X, Y, and Z, and I'm that character from Django Unchained. I'm not gonna let that slide. Those are fighting words. You see? And Bill hid behind security, and then he got all loud and started talking about how Ryan Garcia is not Raza enough or La Raza. I have problems with that. You see what I'm saying? Because when there was a man to your face trying to address a certain topic, right, and you're painting, slandering this man's name, B-Hop, I have a problem with that. And we talked about that in the life, but I don't want to make it about this video, that, because that was that and this is that. But look, man, just to recap a little bit, and we talked about a lot of things, man. It's been a really interesting life. It's been a fun life, to be honest with you, man. But I'll say this. I think, okay, the WBC, I don't know if it was the WBC or some type of commission, suspended Keyshawn Davis, and they turned one of his recent fights into a no contest because they failed the drug test of him smoking weed. Well, Ryan just kind of self-incriminated himself, saying that he smoked weed and he drinks. Now, I don't know if he's smoking weed and drinking in camp, but there was a recent live where he had a joint in his mouth, and you know somebody took a screenshot or whatever the case may be. And the reality is this: he's probably, if he were to be drug tested right now, probably smoking weed. So unless this title is not on the line, the WBC, who does the clean boxing program and they do VADA testing, if Ryan is not deemed fit for in competition because he failed the drug test of smoking weed, Arnold Barbosa will be that last-minute replacement. The Devin Haney's know it, right? That's why Arnold Barbosa was there in the presser, and he stated that they don't have an opponent for him yet. So he's, you know, the Pitbull Cruz of the situation. If Arnold Barbosa gets the opportunity, if they pull Ryan, do you guys think that Arnold Barbosa, like what percentage do you guys give Arnold to beat Devin Haney?
I would give him a 35% chance. 30.
You give him 30%?
Yeah, just because he's a full-fledged 140 pounder. Devin still beats him unanimously. Obviously, and this is the thing, like I might just change that if Devin looks like he got more pop. You know, because if he got more pop,
Devin's
then
a two-handed fighter. I think he has more pop than Ryan.
Right.
Overall,
I'm just saying like if I see him kind of starting to grow into his division and do multiple things at a high, he already does things at a high level, but you know, getting a knockout, oh man, and doing it better than Devin, I'm like, damn, he might just knock out Arnold Barbosa as well.
Ooh, look, man. I don't think Devin can knock out Arnold Barbosa. I don't think Devin has Danielito Sorria type of power. And that's the reason I bring him up is because Sorria wobbled Arnold Barbosa, I think in the 9th or the 10th round. I don't think Devin has that type of individual power. But in terms of landing 3 punches to 1, you know, I mean, bro, if you're getting your head snapped 3 to 1, if that's the ratio, like, yeah, bro, you know, you're going to get a little weakened. You know, you might get cut up. This punch might blind you and give you a little TBI, a little daze, and you start seeing, you know, stars. Devin is a kid. We know that. And, you know, whatever our perception is with Victor Conte and his whole snack program, he can bypass the VADA, you know, drug testing methods, and he knows how to mask his ingredients that he sells. Devin is a big kid, right? He still looks big at 140. And Arnold Barbosa is a pretty big kid too, and I think he's also in snack.
Yeah.
That'll be a really close fight. I would say, I mean, you gave him 30%. Man, I would say 55-45 for Devin.
Wow.
You know, I like Arnold Barbosa's skill. I think he's like less athletic in terms of being fast. You know, he's not faster than Devin, but in terms of IQ, they're very similar to one another. You know, I think the long range and overall experience of Devin being in there with pound for pound fighter in Lomachenko. Yeah. I give Loma, like if you can beat Loma, I give you the credit to almost beat anybody.
Exactly.
in terms of
Yeah.
IQ and just yeah,
Yeah. It's just, and then
that's
for
a
me,
tough test. And if you can get through, Lomachenko, though, even though Lomachenko beat Devin, but the fact that Devin still held his own, I was like, damn, bro, like you're pretty good. Because I
yeah.
was really like big and high on Devin. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, I knew
And
once
this,
you can beat him or be competitive towards Loma, I was like, man, everybody at 140 is food in comparison to Lomachenko. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Hey, homie
And
Ricky. Oh, sorry. Is this
then the,
that fight? This fight right here that's playing in the background. Is that the one that ends in the second round with the what seemed to be a low blow, but it turns out to be a very well placed kidney shot?
Nah, this isn't the one. This
Oh
is
wow.
El Pato. This is Pato
Yeah.
Caballero. I
Yeah.
think, and he's just Antonio Margarito kid that just throws like 1,000 punches, and he's like relentless. But now this is just one of those fights where the kid in black, all black, now black and red, starts to just dominate. I think that's the one. But no, this is not the one where it's controversial. The kid thought it was a low blow. No, that wasn't
Yeah.
the one, man.
So the reason I wanted to, I remember that fight, right? Because I remember we were there live. I'm the one. I'm not recording this angle. I think this is your angle. I'm recording another angle, and I remember that fight ended when the kid hit what seemed to be a low blow, right? And from the camera angle that I captured, it sure seemed to be. But then they stopped the fight. The kid that got hit with the quote unquote low blow ended up losing the fight because he couldn't come out anymore, and people started to boo, right? And not too much because of course these are amateurs and they still have to respect the family of the other fighters. But then I got to analyze the fight from your angle, uh from your vantage point, and then I see that he hits a perfectly placed liver shot, and then the kid collapses right there, and then whoa, that's when I realized one thing. See, Drew, you've watched the fight, right? Where you're like, man, how does one judge have the fight so different than the other? What I think it has to do a lot with vantage point, right? When you're watching the fight from, let's say, your back against the fighters, sometimes you may confuse what seems to be a landed a punch and with reality something that was blocked, but you don't see that because of the vantage from where you're at. The other guy from the other side, he has the perfect periphery to be able to see all the punches landed cleanly, right? So that's where the variation comes in. A good judge that's watching the fight take place, he has enough experience to imagine all three corners or four from a fight to be able to say, okay, this is what I know would happen. This is what I know what it looks like. But I don't think it happened. So here it is. But the reason why I wanted to bring that up, Drew, is because I'm gonna bring on Mr. Zeke. I think his name is Zeke Hawkins from the USA Boxing. He's one of the judges and a gym owner from one of the nearby towns, and I'm just gonna show him what I want to do is show him a few very controversial fight cards and ask him who won that round, right? Because there's always disputes about who won. Like more recently, did you see that fight between Raymond Savage Ford and Kolmatov uh, this past weekend? Did you see that fight, Drew?
yeah,
Okay. Um, in your opinion, who's winning that fight
up to one point.
up until the 11th, or let's say at the start of the 12th? Who was up? Who was down?
That's something. Like, okay. Uh, so this is my opinion before I rewatch it.
Uh huh.
I'm gonna rewatch it, but
Yeah.
and score it. But I think that the other dude, I forgot how do you say his name?
Odebek Kolmatov.
Odobek. There we go. Odobek. I had him up by the beginning of the 12th,
Yeah.
and Raymond Ford just won that fight in the 12th round,
Yeah.
championship rounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, he
So
did his thing, bro.
yeah, he did his
He
thing.
needed no, but he needed that last round, and that's what makes that win so great is because he needed literally. I think he needed that knockout.
Yeah,
And it was like one of those, you can compare that to an overtime field goal win in I wouldn't say Super Bowl, but in his life, this is his Super Bowl. So yeah, like this is like in comparison to an overtime game winning touchdown or game winning field goal. Like that was kind of similar to that. And that's what makes that fight super fucking legendary is the fact that he was down on the cards. Actually, he was losing that fight up until maybe, halfway through the fight, 6 rounds.
started
I think
flipping.
no, Odebek was up 4-2, I think.
Yeah,
And he had the momentum, and he won some rounds in the later rounds, but Raymond Ford displayed heart, and that 12th round is what won him that fight. I mean, I gotta rewatch it, so I might just change up, you know.
yeah. Um, so I agree with you. I think he had to he if Raymond Savage Ford had won convincingly the 12th round, and if people wanted to be fair, I could definitely see a draw. Right? I could definitely see a draw. It was a very close fought scrap by the end. Some of the rounds in between, you could have given him more clearly to Ford. Uh, and I think I had it Ford one, down by 1 round, right? Two, maybe.
Mm,
It just really depends. But I did think that he needed to get the last round in order for him to make it a draw.
mm,
Um, but the judges apparently had Kolmatov, Odebek Kolmatov. I think one judge had it 3 rounds over Ford,
mm,
and I didn't hear too much of a commotion being made about those scorecards. Some people did have it a little closer. I don't disagree with that necessarily, because I've seen too many fights that, depending on the vantage point, because we attend a lot of these local fights and amateur fights, so we're able to position ourselves. And since I'm always moving around to capture the best footage, what happens is that I get to see a lot of different things. And not only that, though, Drew, I have my daughter take up one corner. I do the more cinematic stuff, right? She does like the B-roll footage, film study kind of thing, where she just stays planted right in the middle of these fights taking place. She doesn't move. We just get the same image. Nothing changes, and all we do is film study with those. I do the more cinematic stuff where I'm following the corners and I'm capturing them and the sound and just getting different angles to add on to the more analytic side of the camera angles that we're getting. But because of the way that I'm moving around the ring, I'm getting very in close to the action. In fact, I know that you already know this, but well, maybe you don't, but I'm famous in USA boxing because I always get the fights to stop, because they tell me, sir, you have to move off from the ring. You have to give us some room. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Because I'm like all close in depth in their faces, right? One time I was basically hanging part of my body on the ring trying to capture these images, and they're like, sir, they stopped the fight, sir, you have to step back, don't touch the ring. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And it's all captured on footage, right? They're always telling me. And now they're already, sir, will you give us at least 3 feet, please, before this fight starts? And I'm like, okay, yes, you're right, here we go. But oh yeah, well, that's because of that was your phone, Ricky. That was your phone, so but anyways, I just wanted to say that whenever there's a fight that's very closely fought, right, and a guy has it by a draw, and another guy had it by 1 round, and another one had it by like 7 rounds, like, how do you get 7 rounds, like, and the other guy only won 3? Well, there's also judges, right, that just favor a certain type of fight. If they see a guy come forward and be the aggressor, and both of them are landing like the same amount of punches, they could call it a 9-9, right, or a 10-10, right? Well, 9-9, because nobody has to take 10-10, but they could do that. But one of them would be like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it because of the aggression, because one guy is retreating and the other one is taking over real estate. Simple as that. Some people like to take it, that simple. So if there's a judge that has it like a wide a score in favor of one guy, and you can't even fathom how he got that, well, it's simple. He favors a certain type of fight. And if you look into that person's judging history, you'll see that that's their affinity. They have an affinity for a certain type of fight. There's actually judges, true, that have this affinity, this appreciation for the more mobile, boxistic type of fighters. Okay, that's okay. They like the movers, they like the counter punchers, all of that. That's perfectly fine. That's why I just like to keep it simple. If the fight is violent, I'm okay with that. That's all that I ask. Make it exciting.
Yeah, man. Uh, I think you're so famous at this point. You need to look into becoming a ref, bro. Maybe look into becoming a ref, and you'll kind of understand it. But comes with a lot of responsibility, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
now that's funny, bro. That's funny. I know for sure you'll get kicked out in certain events, bro. If you do that once, bro, or like if you keep getting close and stuff, like So yeah,
Yeah, but
especially
but they know
especially
what
if
I'm doing though. They know that I'm promoting the fights. They know
yeah
that my son is one of the fighters, so they know that the parents get emotionally involved. And in fact, I was happy that this past
yeah
event I wasn't the only one. They had to tell another guy, "Sir, you have to step back," but it was his first time, so I was like, "Hey,
yeah
trust me,
that
I've been there before."
yeah. Let me read country guys comments. So
Yeah.
he said Kalmatov was ahead by 1 to 2 rounds on my card. That KO was
Oh,
a shocker. Congrats to Ford. He really pulled it off. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's what I was talking about. I knew, I just had that feeling like it feels like Odebek is up. Odebek is definitely up. This is a tight fight. Um, but dude, he probably needed that knockout. He ran with it. He got no. I compare that win to a pick six in overtime because he was losing that fight. He probably would have lost that fight, and then he took that shit away from him last minute, bro. Like that
yeah,
shit was crazy. And then El Pachuco says it reminds me of the Espinoza versus Ramirez fight. Espinoza was injured his foot early in the fight, and the resulting stumbling made it look like he was badly injured.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, he was injured to a certain extent, but and I agree that when he got rocked, dude, when he got knocked down, I did you see how the way his knee bent?
yup,
I was like, ouch. Like I
yeah,
always wonder like how people are able to get up from that and not feel no knee pain, like it just that just looks painful. But yeah, no, it reminds me, man, and that's an example. Like what's gonna carry you is your heart. And I feel like a lot of these fighters have heart. It's just a matter of you getting an opportunity,
hmm,
So that's why there's a lot of dudes that look at these guys like they're big names because in reality they show a lot of heart. But I mean, yeah, I don't want to get into that, but yeah, it's pretty good shit right there. Anyways, the homie Ricky says lies. Your camera footage is blurry. Yeah, I need to
yeah.
see it. I'm not sure about your camera. It's maybe probably because you have an Android, So, but
Come on. No, no.
yeah,
So in fact, the blurriest. I'm not trying to make fun of homie Ricky. He's got the flagship top of the line Apple phone, but and I have a S9 from Samsung, which is like 6 years old. But nonetheless, I can somehow work with my camera, with my mobile device. I mean, and get great clear imagery. But somehow this time around, I used homie Ricky says he said, "Look, my phone is better than yours. It's more updated. It has all these features. Just use my phone." And I was all right then. I used it, and I like to zoom in on things, right? Because that's how you can get like impactful punches sometimes. If you know that the punches are coming and you just slightly zoom in, you can just get that proper punch landed, and it makes it more dramatic, and then you can edit later on to for maximum effect. But I used his phone, and that was the blurriest thing. And I kept complaining. I was like, "Homie Ricky, your footage looks like you uploaded in a 360." He's like, "Oh, it looks HD on mine." And I was like, "No, it doesn't. It doesn't. My stuff look HD. Your stuff looks like maybe at max 720." But I'm not too sure what it was. I think Homie Ricky's just trying to make fun of how I'm old fashioned and have an old phone, and he's riding with like with the millionaires and the snobby latte drinkers carrying his crazy $2,000 phone or whatever. But no, no, no. I assure you, I work magic with the type of device that I have, even though it's old. Um, yeah, no. So there's a couple of good reminders. Yeah, he at Pachuco, it reminds us of the Espinosa and Ramirez fight. Espinosa injured his foot early. Yeah, but I actually think it was a little closer to. I mean, the fight in general. True. I think I compare it closer to another potential fight of the year from last year. Even though last year we had so many fight of the year contenders, but I do liken it more to Foster Oshaki Foster versus Eduardo Rocky Hernandez, which was a very close, similarly hard fought scrap, where Hernandez started to pick it up more towards the end, um, and then he started to pay the consequences in Oshaki by the 12th. Right at the beginning of the 12th, he just starts, capitalizing on the fact that Hernandez started to blow his load from throwing so many punches in the earlier
Pause.
rounds of the fight, and then it just caught up to him, and Oshaki ended up putting a very stellar performance and dominated as a champ over there in foreign lands in the nation state of Mexico. I think that was an incredible fight. I liken it more to what just took place this weekend, but I do understand what he's saying. The ending was probably closer to Espinosa, Divino Espinosa, and Robesi Ramirez, in the sense that some people are alleging that the fight was prematurely stopped when Kolmatov was basically trying to run to avoid getting hurt because he could no longer hold on to his leg, as he had been injured when he had toppled down after being pushed down from Raymond Ford after he landed on the ropes. He had already walked in with the knee support brace because he had that injury on that knee. So they already knew that he was debilitated from that area. And when he toppled downwards after being pushed from Ford, he just aggravated that injury. I understand that he took 4 clean flush punches, and I understand that he was running, and I absolutely understand that he turned his back on his opponent. But that was in order to avoid the onslaught of punches that were coming, the unendurable pain that he was suffering from his knee injury, and the fact that he knew, he was aware and conscientious that the fight was going to end in seconds. Listen, Drew, if Ryan Garcia can turn his back for 7 rounds against Oscar Duarte, I think you can let Kolmatov turn his back for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
But
look,
I do
I
think
think
he won fair and square.
yeah, I know. Look, you got like Maidana did the same thing with Broner and shit, you know? So it really just doesn't matter. I think it was just I'm just thinking about Odebek now. Like it probably sucks for Odebek now. You know, like that shit was way too close for him to like live with. Like don't get me wrong, like he would have won that fight, I think, if it would it went the distance, but it would have been super controversial, bro. And the way he actually Raymond Ford actually closed in on that 12th round, that was, like you have 12 rounds,
Yeah.
right? And Raymond Ford decided to look his best in the 12th round.
Yup.
You know, he decided to look his best in the 12th round. That he didn't. It wasn't just because of that knockout. He won that round. He like
Yeah.
fair and square. He won that round, and then
Yup.
he put so much pressure that dude, the Odebek didn't turn his back to him the whole entire fight. It was just that moment. You
Yeah.
know, he caught him slipping. That's it. He just caught him slipping, and he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for the pressure that Raymond Ford was about to come with in the 12th round, which is unheard of. Come like that shit. That's a lot of heart right there. And for him to look his best his 12th round, like damn,
Yeah.
like that was a great fight. I want to see it again.
After so much toil and punishment, he still has the type of energy and determination to win so convincingly that he stops his opponent. seconds left. That was incredible. Here's a great opportunity that New Country Guys, the Acre Punch Boxing News, brings up. He says, "I want to see a rematch." Drew, do you want to answer this? Do you want to answer New Country, and what your opinion is about watching a possible Savage Ford versus Gormatov rematch?
Um, yeah, I think we're gonna get a fight where it's gonna be closer now, just because they know each other so well, and they've actually gone went so hard on each other that they know that they're gonna be over. I wouldn't say overly prepared, but they're gonna. It's gonna make when you get fights like this. Usually, the second fight will be like boring, just because they know each other so well. So it'll be an even bigger chess match because this fight was definitely a chess match. Um, but yeah, I think this is gonna bring it to a whole nother level. Like I still want to see a good fight, but but honestly, they're both trying to win that second fight, and I think you're gonna get a high chess match with low punch volume because they just know each other so well. But both
So
those both,
you don't
but
think
the
it
thing,
will be more closer to like Canelo Triple G Part Two, where the first one was a bit more cautiously fought, and then the
yeah.
second one they knew each other better, but they were just a little more daring, a little more
hmm
aggressive.
This is the thing, like Raymond Ford. This is the part where Raymond Ford enters a new level in his career. Like
Mm.
if he's and we're talking like fantasy, like if the rematch happens, you know,
Uh,
it,
which we know it
if
won't.
yeah, me too. I don't think it won't, but if say
Well,
it
we
will.
know it won't.
But we're just saying let's speak as a manager or a promoter
Yeah,
manager. This is
yeah.
how you build a fight. Like say I want to build a fighter. This is how I
Uh,
kind of want to build a fighter. If I believe in Raymond Ford that much,
no.
and I kind of am. But if I'm a manager, obviously I'm gonna know the answer. Whether or not he can beat him again, but like if I'm his manager and I think he can beat Odebek again, like I want that rematch. And then when I get that rematch, he's gonna make it look great. Like he's either gonna make it look great or he's gonna get knocked out, right? Like
Yeah,
Odebek was winning that fight, and he if he manages to win, it's like he just enters a new level, you
yeah.
know. So
Well, let me answer that part for you, a New Country. Listen, um, this is my this is my philosophy, and it really is unwavering. Uh, I only like to watch rematches when it's a draw. Otherwise, I am completely in disagreement over rematch. As exciting as Raymond Savage Ford taking on Odebek Kolmatov was, I would not like to watch a rematch. I believe that champion, after, especially after a hard fight, if he's able to pull it off, especially in the way that he was able to pull it off by stopping his opponent, a knockout is the definition of a victory. But absent that, a TKO is second best. Making your opponent quit would be third. Nonetheless, if somebody wins, it makes the fight a decisive victory where it does not go to the judges. That in and of itself negates the need for any kind of rematches. I am in complete disagreement of rematches, especially the worst offense in the sport of boxing,
I
which is
think,
the predetermined immediate rematch clause.
yeah,
I disagree with that.
I think, I mean, in the perfect world, the rematch happens because of the way the fight went down. Because in reality, the judges probably had that Odebek win in their cards, and then they just kind of tossed it all away. Like I think the ref kind of he stopped it early, man, and but he did make it hard for him not to. He did make
Yeah,
it hard for him not to stop it because he was gonna get hit again, and he was probably gonna get dropped. You know?
seriously hurt.
Yeah. So
But
I
even
mean,
they robbed us of that. Like if somehow Raymond Ford, right, is able to land that perfect punch as the guy turns his back and he just throws like a leaping two, catches that guy and drops him, guess what? We would have watched a knockout. That
right,
would
but
have
I
been
think
great.
yeah, but I still think it just doesn't feel right. Wouldn't feel right without a rematch. You know, just because it was that close, that highly contested. The lead in the fight changed like twice. I think, bro. Like I think Raymond Ford was up, and then he lost some rounds to where Odebeck was up technically on some rounds. He was winning the fight. Then Odebeck was still winning the fight because he still maintained pressure, forcing Raymond to push it through in the 12th round. And then the 12th round happens to be the best round of the whole fight for him, and that's rare. That's hard. That you don't get that. So yeah, the rematch has to happen because it makes sense. And I don't know budget, I don't know finances, but fuck, man, it feels like it would make you more money as well. You know, or
Yeah,
you guys
so
not with me?
yeah, there's a reason. There's every I can name like at least five different reasons for why I would never watch a rematch. Why I won't consent to them. Right. For one, again, it's a win. Right. There's a win, and even let's just say, right, that that Kolmatov had won 11 rounds to nil by the start of the 12th, and then Raymond Ford pulls out the miracle and he lands that perfect punch and knocks out his opponent. Guess what? Even that right there, where people would be like, no, 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 immediate rematch because listen, he beat you in every single round and then you just stopped him with one lucky punch. Guess what? That robs us of the importance of believing in yourself and the value of the puncher's chance. I value the power in the sport of the puncher's chance. The puncher's chance is tantamount to making dreams reality. That means a person from the street can walk up in the ring with somebody like Money Mayweather, and maybe, just maybe, they strike gold. They hit the lottery. They throw a punch and it lands flush, and guess what? The best fighter in the world is on the floor, reeling from pain, completely sleeping and knocked out. The puncher's chance is one of the greatest things that the sport of boxing offers. So I wouldn't want to devalue it. I wouldn't want to depreciate it solely because a person is winning all the rounds. And then guess what? The guy just flips the script, makes it topsy turvy because that's what we live for. The surprises that things like the puncher's chance and the underdog bring to the sport. So that would be one. Secondly, uh, he won by by fighting hard and not leaving it to the judges. And here's the one thing that we know about judging, right? If you beat the odds and every single odd against you, including the house fighter and the favoritism of the judges, and you win that, you should never give them the opportunity to fight again because they already had those advantages against you. You should value the fact that you triumphed over those barriers towards your victory and take that and run to the next opponent. Because now what happens? Here's the other thing that I have a disagreement with. A rematch could make it so that Kolmatov might actually beat Raymond Ford. And now guess what? Now we have a three-peat. And all that does brings us up to the fourth matter, which is basically stalling the division to let these guys fight indefinitely, at least for three fights until there's a definitive winner. See, that's the problem. And now here's the fifth thing, which is the immediate rematch clause. A lot of these promoters, especially Mr. Eddie Hearn, of which I'm a great admirer of, I'm a big fan of the guy, he sets up his fights where there is an immediate rematch clause in the case that his fighter loses. And he does that to hedge his bets in order to, one, rile up the fans because of a hard fought fight that maybe would demand people like you to want to see a rematch, like the new country says they want to see a rematch, but also because he's able to give his fighter a second opportunity to get that belt back. Right now, everybody's going to be like, "Oh yeah, well, that's just what great promoters do." But all that's doing is hopping onto the sixth matter, which is you are allowing the sport to continue its corrupt nature by the fact that you continue to implement contingency plans to keep the belt on your side, and every time the sanctioning bodies consent to that, you're basically holding up the sport and the belts with the blessings of these sanctioning bodies, and that continues to promote corruption. This is why I'm completely against rematches. If you win a fight and you want the right fighter to win so that there is never no rematches, the eighth thing would be the judges should get it right the first time. No rematches ever, in my opinion, unless it is a draw.
Yeah, man. Nah. I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of draws, but Raymond took that fight, bro. He took that fight from him. That's just a fair and square fight. Like I'm a fan of draws just because only when it's highly controversial and we don't and people are gonna complain. It just less people are gonna complain, you know. But there's that saying where you got to beat the champ as well, you know, to become the champ. But yeah, nah, he's that's a horrible take, Speed. That's what.
Yeah, let me
Jesus,
talk for
man.
15 minutes supporting my opinion, then just tell me in one word, horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
Like, nah, dude, what the hell? Absolutely not, man. Couple of things, man. That was funny. But nah, man, that was a great fight. But Raymond Ford won that fight, man. Like, he only lost the first four, and the only reason why he was losing the first four was because he was getting rocked and wobbling. But those first four were competitive, and then the 11th, was the one that he lost. But he won 7 rounds to 5 if it was gonna go to the scorecards. And then in that 12, before the stoppage, he dropped Otabek. Now the ref called it a pushdown, but there was a punch that landed that made all his momentum, where he was gonna fall face forward and he was holding on for dear life. So don't say Raymond pushed him to the ground. No, he was trying to finish it. Otabek lost his footing. And I know you guys keep saying this because you guys said it last night as well. He did not have an ACL injury in the fight.
I didn't say that.
Like, stop it, bro. No, the
I said that
Pachuco
Top
said
Rank
it, and then
reported
Drew
an
and
MCL.
Speed. No, I looked up the reports and I showed you guys. I could not find any of them, and I read the reports to you guys. So unless I don't even know if Otabek cried, if he got hurt, or if it was a bad stoppage. I haven't heard or anybody post if Otabek was like, "Oh, that's a robbery," or claiming
No,
that the
he of
ref was a
course
bad
not.
stoppage. But you guys keep trying to cape for it,
I
and
didn't
I'm
say
like,
that.
no, bro, put some respect
No,
on Ford for doing
homie
it
Ricky.
amazing. And he,
Uh,
yes, 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 yes. But go ahead because your whole takes are horrible.
Horrible take. Horrible take. All I said was that that Top Rank after the fight, post fight, they said that the guy had uh, sustained some kind of something CL injury, right? And he was being rushed to the hospital. I just reported what they said. I didn't allege it's a fact. I didn't say that there was any supporting evidence. I didn't say that there was any reports after the fact by any of the credible reporters
He's just playing
on the
devil's
sport of boxing.
advocate.
No, I'm just telling you what Top Rank said. Come on, that's it. You know what?
Who's top
Open
rank
up the
though?
ESPN. ESPN. No, no, no. Open up ESPN so I can put it on there, so they
No,
could
but
hear.
who's top rank though? Is specifically like what person in top rank says that?
Homie Ricky said it last time. He's the guy that he loves the sport and he gets very emotional.
Oh, well, the only thing I said to kind of support what you
Mark
said.
Kriegel.
Okay, well, the only thing I said was, the fact that Tim Bradley tried to make something of it. That's when I found out about it was through
Yeah.
Tim Bradley. But then again, like you guys keep saying that I'm the one that's saying this, but I'm not that guy.
Now,
Nah, I
uh,
didn't say Drew. I said Speed. I said Speed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's saying
Speed's
speed
the
because
one
I
that's
said
saying
it,
that
not
shit.
you.
I didn't say Drew. I said Speed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, homie Ricky, do you want to also let in? And I'm sure a new country already knows this. Why is Ford versus Kormatov not a possible rematch? Can you give him one big reason why that fight won't happen?
Well,
The
because it
rematch?
looks like Ford don't can't make 126 anymore, or he doesn't want to.
He already
Yeah.
said that his next two opponents is Oshaki Foster, Joe Cordina, if he can get that at the higher weight class.
hmm Yep. He's moving on to
Pretty
130
much what
apparently.
Albert Weiss.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it seems like. New country. I'm not too sure. I'm sure that you heard it. Maybe you were on the live, but it seems that Oshaki Foster, after being held back from a year of fighting, nearly a year, 11 months shy of his last fight at the promotion of Eddie Hearns and his management, he was long laid off to the point that making 126 was a burden, and he wants to just make it a little easier for him to make weight. So he's moving on apparently to 130 to take on champions the caliber of Joe Cordina, which is a very dangerous fighter, and one of his nemesis, who they've been going back and forth on, which is Oshaki Foster. Oshaki Foster versus Ray Ford. That'd be an incredible fight. Ray Ford versus Joe Gordina would be an incredible fight. But it also seems that the other fighter at 126, Luis Alberto Lopez El Venado, the guy who stopped his Japanese opponent Raya Abe at the 11th, that guy apparently is only demanding for unifications at 126 to try and consolidate all four belts, or if not, he is also willing to go up to 130 to take on Oscar Valdez or the winner of him and Liam Wilson. So it seems like these two fighters that just became victorious over the weekend can likely meet between themselves at 130. And I think that's incredible. I actually prefer that both of them stay put at 126, sacrifice to keep the weight down, stay in the gym and take on a quick turnaround fight to try and consolidate some of those belts, and try to go for undisputed before they move on to 130, because there's a lot of heat at 126. It is, in fact, in my opinion, the most explosive, unpredictable weight division in boxing that's likely not getting the recognition that it's due.
Yeah. I seen what's his name? Shushu. So New Country is calling uh, mentioned the fact that Shushu was calling out Ford. And I think he was. He just mentioned him in a couple of interviews during uh his his interviews with Mark Kriegel. He actually did have his name in one of his sentences, but that would be a great fight. Shushu is another dog, bro. Like every time I think about Ford, I forget about the other guys in that division. And honestly, Shushu's one of those guys that can actually upset a dude like Raymond Ford. But he's still not obviously, is he a contender? I don't think he's a contender yet. Is he?
Uh,
I think he just won that. I think he just won that as of his last fight. But nah, dude, he's got power on each hand. He's got IQ. I think
yeah.
that he's another player. I mean, there's so many guys, bro. I feel like to be successful in that division, though, there's this type of style that you need, and it kind of, I feel like that unorthodox style really benefits you in that division. Just because like length really does affect these guys. Like look at Ramirez versus Pussy. Like I really feel like that length was affecting him. So yeah, you got dudes like that. I think with Navarrete's length and his arm reach. That's I feel like that's the weakness in that division because those dudes I feel like they're coming up from like the 118 division and the lighter weights, just because they're trying to get more pop. And you got dudes like Inoue and you see his style. I mean, that dude got it all, but no, that division, you also forgot about Inoue. So it's like, fuck, dude, I'm overwhelmed with that division. Who knows? Who knows what comes up on top because there's so many A-level fighters in that division.
Yeah.
Like I almost can't get mad at dudes wanting to get out of the division, but I want dudes to marinate in that division while they're champs and kind of build their way up. I think Raymond Ford is just there to build himself up. There's
Mhm.
so many dudes to fight, that I feel like he can beat. You know, I think Shushu is one of those guys that he should stay away from, though. I think Shushu should build his own lane. Because having those guys as champs going at each other would be a big fight, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But those guys right there, that's the wall. That's the wall for Inoue right there. Like those guys, if anyone could beat those guys, I'm highly impressed. Cause I thought it was 130. I thought Inoue was that good, you know, to go all the way up to. I don't mean to deflect from the subject, but like, you know, Inoue, like I feel like he could have moved up to 130. But 126 and just looking at those guys,
Yeah.
nah, that's the wall. Like that's
Okay, well there you go.
the barrier.
I appreciate the fact that although we do appreciate the greatness and the skill set that a fighter like Naoya Inoue has, that we also respect the fact that sometimes these other fighters at higher weight divisions are also very skillful, very durable, and they may not have perhaps the same skill set as you to the degree that Naoya Inoue does, but sometimes just their physical attributes, which include their weight and their punch resistance, may be enough to upset the skills that somebody like Naoya Inoue would present to them. I don't think that Naoya Inoue does not necessarily win against some of them. Like for example, I do find El Venado Lopez to be a very dangerous threat and an orthodox fighter that you cannot prepare for, and all it takes is one punch, like the one that he landed against Rhea Abe, to completely cave in your cheekbone and break an orbital, and that's enough sometimes for fighters to just
Well, guess
start
what?
losing from there. But
I don't.
I
I don't.
also
Go ahead.
do think that he might figure out a way to overcome the unorthodox fighting style of that guy because of
Yeah.
the fact that he is very vulnerable and exposed to punches.
Just me. Like I agree with all that. Like I can visualize that. But someone tells me that if Inoue fights any of those guys, he'll be the favored. You know, betting favorite. You know, type of thing. You know, like I would like to see that happen. And honestly, I like to go with physics, right? And say those guys are just way too big for you. You know, and I think that could be the case for some of those guys. Um, but you said Venado though. He's the one. That's oh wait, no, that's 126. I'm tripping. Yeah, no, that'll be a great fight, dude. Honestly, I think I think Inoue would like Inoue just is so high. Everyone's so high on this guy. I see
Yeah,
we're kind of deflecting. This is the last time I mentioned him. Everyone's so high on him. That he's gonna be favored against those guys. You know, at that like that's just my opinion, but like that's his
yeah,
wall right there. It's. I'm not talking to Venado. I'm talking because I think Raymond Ford beats Venado. Um, but I think Raymond Ford is a dog, bro. Like he's like I was truly impressed. I wasn't as impressed as I am right now, but yeah, no, that's the wall, man. Even fucking Joel Gonzalez would give fucking Inoue a hard time. You know, like
yeah.
dudes fought Navarrete already. What type of challenge is Inoue? You know, so yeah, yeah. I don't mean to deflect.
Well, the good thing is that we're gonna that Naoya Inoue is gonna stay put at 122 for the time being. Apparently, he's trying to not only become undisputed, but he's also trying to defend, unify, and then after that defend in that division before he moves up. So I think he's doing the right thing. I think he's taking on the all the best fighters, making sure that he clears that division, making sure that it gives an opportunity for somebody to become a one fight and then you're done lineal champion by beating that guy, and the quickest way of becoming undisputed, because that's what happens when you become undisputed, right? All it takes is one guy to beat you, and then he gets the credit for having beaten all four guys that you beat just because he beat you. um, that's basically the whole premise behind the lineal ring belt, right? But he's gonna acclimate himself to 122. He's gonna grow into that division so that when he moves on to 126, by then he's ready and capable to take on the bigger guys. And guess who's gonna be ready for him then? Like you say, Shushu Carrington. He's gonna be right there waiting for him. Who might actually start getting ready and position himself to take on a fight like that? Ruben Villa, Drag. 4. We might see all of these guys become better fighters and place themselves in positions of influence where they can, once Naoya Inoue steps up over there to take on those fights and ask for rewards and the opportunity to take on what likely will be a shoe-in Hall of Famer and Naoya Inoue. But I think it's very interesting that you're mentioning that, because I don't think Raymond Ford is going to be a viable option. I don't think Lopez is going to be a viable option, or Emmanuel Navarrete or Joe Cordina, because all of those guys are already talking about moving up. And first, he has to clear out the guys that are coming up at 126 soon enough, and that does include somebody as dangerous and threatening as Shushu Carrington. Let's see what.
Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, go ahead. Read the comments.
Yeah, Boxing Magic Mexa says Ford was a punching bag, terrible stoppage.
Yeah,
Punching bag, punching bag. He came
I
out
think
pretty
Otabek,
unscathed. Yeah,
Otabek is good. Offense is great, bro. Yeah, he has good offense, but um, bro, Otabek's just that good, bro. Like we were saying earlier, yesterday, I said, I think I said Otabek beats a lot of these guys trying to become world champion, pretty much. It
yeah,
took a special champion like Raymond Ford to beat him. Uh, yeah, I'm not calling him a gatekeeper. He could possibly be a world champion. Wait, I thought I was about to say again, but he can become. He yeah, I was gonna
no,
say
yeah,
again.
anyway, huh? You know, yeah.
No, 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 I didn't. I was gonna say anyway.
Okay.
I said Otabek gonna become a world champion again. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say again, but instead I was like, nah, he's never become champion. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I can see him become a champion one day. Because of his pedigree. I
yeah,
think he beats a lot of these guys, man. It's just this 126 division is loaded, man. Super loaded. And
yeah,
you're in the middle of the heat as far as weight classes, man. You can't there's so you have a split second of defense, bro, before you get touched. Like these guys are extremely fast with pop, so yeah, Odebek's just one of those guys that does has an offense, and he does it at a high level. You
yeah,
know, so that's why you see his high knockout ratio kind of shows. So yeah, I think Odebek he's still a threat to everyone, bro. And
yeah.
honestly, he's still a threat to Raymond Ford.
Yeah, no, he is. El Pachuco states, I thought that I saw his ankle land twist in a weird way a few times during the fight, but I need to rewatch. Yeah, I encourage you to rewatch it, Pachuco, because whether it's proven or not that he had some kind of injury or not, guess what? You're going to get to relive that fight again. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great fight. Um, in light of what their comments were, Drew and homie Ricky, both Raymond Ford and both El Venado Lopez stating that they were willing to go up to 130 to face other fighters, Oshaki Foster, Joe Cordina, so forth and so on. We also have to consider, if those guys vacate the division, those two belts become available. Now, guess what? Now all of a sudden we may actually have a possible fight between the losers, Rhea Abe and Otabek Kolmatov. That would be a great fight. Just because people lose does not mean they should be discredited or not considered contenders. They absolutely put up great stellar fights. In the case of Abe, he demonstrated grit and heart in the chin because he endured a lot of punishment. I think surviving somebody like Luis Alberto Lopez would give him a great opportunity to fight somebody like Kolmatov, because now both of them are injured in different ways. But maybe a possible fight between the losers might be a great way to get him ready to line himself up for a shot again at redemption and a belt. But if not, then I guess we can consider fights like, I guess maybe Lopez El Venado taking on Ray Vargas if the PBC allows him to, or Luis Alberto Lopez have been now fighting the other guy at top rank, Rafael El Divino Espinosa. That might be a possible unification for two belts right there for Lopez. I don't know who wins that. Lopez is definitely much more experienced. He's a road warrior. He's beaten more champions in their backyard, and he's done it convincingly. And what I do know about Rafael Divino Espinosa, the guy who upset for one of the biggest upsets in boxing history in the past decade, Robesi Ramirez, what I do know about him is that his career, for the most part, is padded with fighters that had upside down records. So if you look at his record and you understand that he hasn't ever prepared himself for a fighter the caliber of Robesi Ramirez, then you just know how incredible the puncher's chance is to the sport of boxing. How the underdog is one of the greatest things to the sport of boxing put together. The underdog with a puncher's chance is one of the best things that can happen in the sport. So I think I would have to favor Lopez over El Divino Espinosa, because yeah, Espinosa is going to be a tall order, being 6'2" or something, sucking down to 126. And yeah, he definitely has a chin. But here's the thing: if anybody has power in that division, it's Lopez. And Lopez, he doesn't even have to throw jabs to set you up. He's perfectly comfortable throwing only hooks, threes and fours, and getting you out there. And you're never able to figure him out because he hops and he leaps and he does all these twirls to get you there. I think that would be a great unification. But I don't know. It's just going to depend on whether Top Rank wants to make that fight happen. If not, I guess maybe Lopez can go on and fight. Jeez, I wonder who he could fight up there at 130. But any of the other fighters at 130, like perhaps Emmanuel Navarrete. Actually, Emmanuel is going up to 135, but I guess Oscar Valdez and Wilson. So yeah, that'd be a good fight. Okay, Drew, you got to go. Peace out. New Country says, have a good one, bro. He says that to Drew, and peace out to him. And New Country states, I actually do. Got to go to bed for work tomorrow. Yes, I do. Also, Country, thank you very much for joining us in this live. I promise you that most of our lives are not as confrontational and combative, and we never really have to defend our opinions due to any bias on skin color or cultural practice, nothing like that. We actually are much more astute, but I guess you hopped in right at the right moment where we just had one of those one-offs and we had to go back and forth with our listeners. In the Pachuco states, Espinosa improved a lot in training with Manny Robles. Yeah, I think that's the thing, Pachuco. I think Manny Robles is the guy who, turned around the career of Espinosa, because definitely the first few fights, maybe half of them, easily half of them that he had were just soft touches, padded records. And yeah, it's Manny Robles is probably the guy that realized, hey, you know what? A couple of things we work on here with the fact that there's nobody that has the dimensions that you do, the physical dimensions that you do. You could probably pose a threat to all of these guys, and I can't wait to see that guy back. Yeah. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we've kept you up long enough. Remember, if you question whether or not we're being fair, go back to our lives where we call the Mexican American fighters fat and lazy, and then understand why we say so. If you're thinking we're capping for the brown man just because we want to be under good gracious, I assure you we win nothing by turning on the people that have followed us solely because we are brown skinned individuals. But I don't want you to listen to us or follow us because we are brown. I don't want you to think this is a channel that specializes on racial favoritism. We are not that. We are fathers of fighters, former fighters ourselves, and trainers of the future boxers of the sport. So we appreciate every person's involvement. If these things that we speak that are truthful and come from a place of love and respect for the sport and of our fighters, if these things bother you, yeah, there's other channels that you can go and visit. We do appreciate you coming by over here. But over here, we're always going to give you the facts. We're always going to analyze the good and the bad of the sport, regardless of where we are as individuals. Thank you very much for joining these lives and listening to these lives where we go hard on the Haney's for the racial virtual signaling and whatnot. Go on those things. Go back to those incredible lives that we've had that you probably have been listening to. And I do wish you a wonderful night, and let's catch you guys in the next one. Take care.